to be blunt and brutally honest, it's been 8, 9, 10 weeks, 11, actually probably coming up 4 months now of just a repeated every month,
kicking
just
the
worse
balls
and worse and worse. And I'm it's like that scene where you're on your knees and you're in the big fight and you're trying to get back. I'm not trying to look like the hero or anything, but I keep getting back up and I keep getting punched right back in the face by the big organization that's YouTube. And I keep getting back up and I keep getting punched in the face and I've got the bloody nose and the black eye and I'm stuck, trying to do the whole, yeah, exactly. I didn't get a Nobel. Yeah, you were Randy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, that's what it's like, dude. And she has fought on these front lines harder than anybody, harder than I have, because she's had to put up with it to the nth degree from both ends. She has to listen to me do this all day long.
There are so many people who are registered gun owners in this country, but they are not registered voters. And if you go and look at some of these swing states from the 2020 election, the number of people who are registered gun owners, and you could presumably think that these people are conservatives, if they were registered voter and went and voted in what way you'd think they would, then those swing states would have swung the other way. So let it be a lesson to you, Mr. I want to be left alone out here on my farm or whatever it is. The way you're going to keep that farm is to get off your ass and go vote. As someone whose content has been demonetized and faces the threat of being shut down by YouTube, do you think the platforms like YouTube are intentionally suppressing voices like yours as part of a broader agenda against the Second Amendment? And if so, what do you think this means for the future of free speech in the United States?
Wow, that's a heavy start, but I don't know. Oof.
Right into
it is heavy. Let's just acknowledge your cool mask first.
It's a mask?
You look amazing.
You got to.
I thought I did really good makeup to blend me into the background. I tried to line it up.
It's the Invisible Man.
Yeah, no. I'll tell you what. Serious question, serious answer. The mask is coming off. We'll talk about this. We want to get real, right?
We want to get real, dude.
All right, let's go get real. So to summarize, essentially, it breaks down to the challenges that I'm facing as a gun tuber over on YouTube, and how does that affect maybe the future of free speech? Am I summarizing the question correctly?
That's a good way to summarize it, brother.
All right, so I got to dumb it down. Old man brain. At this
said a lot
point,
of fancy words neurons... there, Brandon.
Mister, I got issued these BDUs.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. I was showing you in the pre-show. I just found those suckers, and I still fit into them. I'm very proud of myself at a brisk and brusty old 38. I'd say I'm doing pretty well.
he said, give us 3 minutes. Brandon. Tyler said, I'll give you 2
Dude, it's hard, man.
Did I curse?
We're just old crusty. I mean, you're still in, Chris. We're just crusty vets.
I'm dead serious. I didn't even register it.
I know it doesn't register, dude. I am making a mental effort right now not to use swear words, just so you know.
I am actually trying to. Apparently, when you tell me to try, though, I fail miserably. It's like one of those things where, Tyler, I am not happy with you.
If you're focused really hard on it, you're gonna mess up.
Apparently, I was holding the stick too tight. It's
okay. This is pre-recorded, and I could just bleep it out.
This is the wonderful thing. Well, sorry for ruining the streak.
You did it. You're just a beautiful man. Just keep talking about
it. To summarize the question, how did the challenges facing us on YouTube?
Really
oh my goodness. Should we just do a clap in? Threw me off of my own game. All right. Hit me with the question one more time and I'll try to answer it properly.
No, man. So you're facing a lot of scrutiny, and YouTube is threatening to take your channel down, right? And I just am wondering, do you feel like it's an active process of trying to suppress Second Amendment voices? And if so, what do you think it means for the future of free speech in the United States?
I'm probably going to ask you to, because that's a very good question, I'm probably going to ask you to repeat that in parts for me again. But the challenges facing us on YouTube, yes, they are absolutely suppressing conservative beliefs. I think that's something that has been going on very, very obviously to the naked eye for a very long time. Something that I was hoping to talk about tonight, and I think this just pigeonholes and segues right into it. I'm going to take a quick sip.
Please.
There was a lawsuit filed against YouTube back in 2008 by a well-known company in the conservative world well-known education place in the conservative world called PragerU. I'm sure you guys have all heard of PragerU at some point.
Very familiar.
And they argued this exact same thing, and YouTube successfully argued against, saying that they were not suppressing, or that there was no evidence to support the claim that they were suppressing conservative beliefs and values on what they were claiming to be, what PragerU was claiming to be a liberal platform. Now, obviously, obvious suppression is obvious here, right? There's no hiding what they've done. They're just saying that, we got you. You can't prove it. So I've been thinking for a really, really long time about, is it just a conservative thing? Like, how do we really attack this problem here in the future? And I apologize if I go a little bit off base on this, but I'm sure you can find a way to use this here in the future.
Place, dude.
My bit here is, how many times have you watched a video in the tech community, or in the hobbyist community, or in the news, not even news, but current events community, military, hobbyist, enthusiast channel community, and they've said almost something like
survival.
This. I would love to cover that content or make this video for you guys, but YouTube would demonetize me. YouTube would take my video down, take away some of my business. Now, these are not necessarily conservative content creators. What this is telling me is that the issue is bigger than just a left versus right thing. And I know that that's not what some people want to hear. Some people want this fight to be a left versus right. If it's that way, folks, I'm sorry. Point. The conservative belief is not as popular and as it once was. Unfortunate. It's an uphill battle for people that think like us. And that's why I think we got to stay as sharp as humanly possible and get as many allies to back causes that support those beliefs as humanly possible. Here's my thought on how to advance this thing forward. We don't make it a left versus right issue. We make it an us versus them issue. This is how we do it. We take all of those content creators that feel not even disenfranchised, but feel fear, because that's really what it is. It's a fear-based, not even like terms and conditions. It's a retribution system. Because here's how YouTube punishment works. You did something wrong, you nerd, and you go, gee, YouTube, Daddy YouTube, I'm trying to play nice. I'm trying to follow the house rules. Please, can you elaborate and explain those rules to me so I know what to do, so I don't get in trouble and get kicked off the platform and get grounded and sent to my room. And you're trying to play nice now, obviously dramatic, but
well, I mean, listen,
you don't get told.
To your point, right? A while back, we had my good friend on who was just on our live the other night. His name's Matt. He's security forces as well.
Sure.
And he said no to the poke, right? And he's gone through a lot of shenanigans. We did an episode with him just to capture his story, and that episode got taken down for misinformation. Although there was no medical and there was no misinformation. It was just his experience with the poke, right?
Yes.
And it got taken down, and I had to take mandatory training to keep my account. So basically I had to answer a bunch of questions. I was given scenarios like, oh, what's the right answer? Okay, well, let me be a little piece of shit here and do this and answer those questions. I think we're past. We are. It's six and a half minutes. We're good to go.
We're off to the races, dude.
Hey!
The hall monitor down there.
It's fire zone, baby.
I was holding it in.
I
was holding it in.
Fire will. Yeah. No, but it got taken down.
Professionalism.
I had to take training to keep my account, and it was like a test essentially after reading scenarios.
That's
so
hilarious.
YouTube will make you. Yeah, I don't know if you've had to do that, Tyler, but
it kind of reminds me of the modus operandi of the IRS. It's like, you owe me money. Okay, how much? I'm not going to tell you, but if you get it wrong, you're going to jail.
Going to jail.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
Fear-based retribution system. So based off of that's no longer an enforcement of a rule. You're just waiting for people to screw up. Now, I've got it on very, very good authority that when this all happened, and remind me when I eventually ask you, because I'm going to lose my original point here, but this is another very important topic I need to talk about. Remind me of the direction that we were going, I just lost it. Fuck. Fear-based retribution system. That's where we're at. So, This is how much they don't care about their own rules. They know that it's a trap. They're willing to call up the popular gun tubers. I had a guy in the room when they got the phone call that YouTube was changing its ad policies again, that they were going to attack everybody's income, and that they were going to ban the ability for gun tubers to have sponsorships from gun or gun adjacent related companies, which is our entire income. Right?
Wow.
I had a guy in that room. They called and essentially said, paraphrasing here, haha, get fucked, we got you.
Did they give any sort of reason? Not that it matters because they're assholes. They just reason.
They wanted us gone.
But then I'll watch, it's because I've been following you, for a long time, which is essentially,
cheers, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, which is essentially how we met. And it's not, I do want to make a point on this before I kind of 2 points that dovetail in together, but it's not just the ad stuff that they're sponsor or that they're attacking you guys on. Mm-hmm. But I remember texting you a couple of weeks ago and I'm like, Tyler, I didn't realize that you had been dropping videos weekly this month. And now I have to go back and catch up with 3 videos that you dropped because my notifications, they're not telling me channels that I subscribe to are dropping videos. So there's that when people talk about the shadow banning and stuff. But then it's funny that you're saying that they go and, it's like, hey, no gun or gun adjacent companies that you guys can have as sponsors and go on your videos. But then if you go and click on one of your videos, you'll see an ad that YouTube paid for and they'll put the commercial in front of your video.
Okay.
And it'll be from
you bring up the point. Yep.
Tyler, you're so much deep,
and you're like, wait, what?
You're so much deeper in all of the advertising and the money side of YouTube than us. Teach and preach, bro.
All right. So here's the deal. To the best of my understanding, I can see the end result and I can kind of reverse engineer how it works. But to the best of my understanding, to very simplify everything, I get a very small percentage of the profit of every ad that's shown on my channel as long as my video is monetized. We call it essentially a CPM, cost per milli. Per 1,000 views, I get X number of dollars, or sometimes even only cents, depending on how valuable the ad is to YouTube, how much the client paid, We get a small percentage of that. What we're hoping for, obviously, is a massive amount of views. We want to stay within the rules because if the video goes yellow, YouTube doesn't want to promote it as hard because it's not as suitable for advertisers. So to get our fair share of the cut and to profit off the videos that we make to run a successful business, we've got to hopefully try to stay within the rules. Not saying that that's always what we endeavor to do, but try to stay in the rules if you want that video to go green and stay successful and get promoted and boosted to as many people as humanly possible. Unfortunately, when it goes yellow, you get kind of kicked in the nuts and it gets half the exposure that it normally would. So I forgot my point here. Shoot, I'm sorry. I've got so much stuff rolling around in my head. Where was it going?
And listen, don't put yourself in a box either because you're worried about what kind of questions I'm going to ask you or we're going to ask you. Just riff, man.
Okay.
Go off on what's going on. Here's the bottom line. We want to know what's happening to you because we know you're being censored and we want to hear it from your perspective as raw and unfiltered as possible.
I will give you numbers. I will give you fucking numbers. I'm not afraid to do that. It's not like I'm a billionaire. It's not like I'm robbing people of money or anything like that. 7 weeks ago, 8 weeks, we'll call it, actually, we'll go back a little bit in time. When the channel was hitting its hardest about a year ago, $2,300 a month is what I was pulling in on ad revenue. And then slowly each one of these changes would come in and hit. And then there goes a little bit more. Another change. There goes a little bit more. Another change, a little bit more. And then now, $462 is what I make per month.
Just putting the squeeze on you.
Basically, that's more than a quarter of what you're making. That's a fraction of it. That's insane, man.
So, and then once again, the challenge here is now they're very ambiguously, they've kind of backed off on the no guns and gun related sponsor or gun adjacent sponsorships. They're kind of not attacking that right now, but they're also leaving a very easy back door for them to come in and say, no, we really did mean that. They're checking with lawyers or something, I'm sure, to say, can we really do this? They're going to do it first, do it first, ask permission later.
Can you prove, or do you know, do they selectively enforce it on some channels and not others?
I mean, there's no way of proving it, obviously, because I'll be very honest with you. There are times when I wake up and I feel like I'm wearing a tinfoil hat because there are videos that go yellow and do extremely well. Because normally you're thinking, oh, this video doesn't go, but here's my thought process. Would that have been viral as shit if it wasn't yellow? If it's doing
Maybe
that
you had
well
a bunch
while
of
yellow,
people searching you out on that video that was yellow. And I even saw on Instagram the other day that people like Grantham is getting targeted too. So it's definitely a concerted effort.
I mean, this is to if any one of my fans or my folks are listening to this, because I'll definitely be linking it out to them. Your guys' background, military dudes, not necessarily the biggest, you're gun guys, but not like gun nuts. You're First Amendment guys and then Second Amendment guys as well. Am I describing that, I think, fairly incorrectly? So when you're talking about this, the first thing that comes to my mind is like, haha, first time, like that meme.
Right.
Like,
James
welcome
Franco.
to the club. It's
Sure.
like a bit of a rite of passage. I mean that with as much love as humanly possible. Like,
I
literally,
remember when I got my first community
resistance.
strike, and then I got my first fact check, and I was like, oh, I'm in the.
You know
I'm
what
in the,
mine?
I'm in the club.
You know what my first? You know what my first community strike was?
What was it?
It was for a thumbnail I did where I posted Brandon Herrera's head on a lady's body in a bikini. That's all it was.
Oh my gosh, dude.
I mean, she had some
Listen,
ample assets to say
First
the
of all,
least.
Brandon Herrera is beautiful as is.
Listen,
so
and
you
it
were
should
only
be
doing
okay
him a
to be-
disservice.
I thought they were okay with trans people. You know, that's what I thought.
That too.
It should be fine, no matter what. Are we we're just playing? Tell me, I'm just playing by the rules.
Let's just say
baby.
this. Let's just say this.
Playing by the rules.
I can verify that Brandon says what he says he is. Let's just say there've been
End of
nights.
story.
I'm kidding.
Don't ask questions you don't want answers
Long
to.
time
Right?
ago. Hey,
in my
what happens at SHOT Show stays
right.
at SHOT Show.
Hey, man. So this is really affecting your way of life, though.
Yeah, man, big time. So I was just down in Knoxville, Tennessee. Well, first of all, let me just say this. I have tried, to probably my own detriment, to follow the rules. A lot of people don't like it, and have looked at me and have yelled at me and said, "Ha, you fucking bitch! You know, why don't you stand up for yourself? Why don't you start creating content that you know, the stuff that you used to create?" And fair point to them, honestly, very fair point to them. I was being a bitch, but I was doing it for a good reason. I was trying to protect the business that fed my family, and when you have a business that feeds your family, that's your baby, and that's feeding your baby. Like, that's a whole nother story, dude. But
right.
if they're gonna go scorched earth on me, I have no more motivation to follow those rules, to do anything. So that night that happened, pretty much we flipped the script. Quite literally, we went off script.
I watched.
We no longer script our videos, and now it is me just ranting and going nuts, kind of doing what we're doing here. I usually have my editor on the other end feeding me the topic and a talking point, and then he'll give me like a joke, and then I'll kind of riff my way into the punchline of that joke, the setup and the punchline of that joke, and that's how we've been doing it now.
I've enjoyed the Tyler Raw kind of feel.
I appreciate
that
it, man. I really do. I was scared. I was genuinely scared that we were going to lose like all the viewership of the channel because, you know, YouTube gets the dick punch for us, and then we change the format to try to stay fresh, and everybody leaves because it's not what they were expecting.
Well, just so you know, that like you sticking your thumb in YouTube's eye and just being like, all right, like F me, like no, like F you. That was the night that I texted you. And I was like, hey man, like I just watched the video that you dropped, and I'm like, we need to have a conversation.
I'm so happy that you did.
Me and said this needs to happen.
Yeah, I'm
so happy that you did. The entire gun community, and you know, I can speak on behalf of quite a few people, not everybody in the community, but I feel like I've got a fairly decent relationship with most of the folk in the community. And you've got your really, really big guys. And what I'll say about the really, really big guys out there, everyone from like the Pattons, the John Pattons, and the Gun Collectives on up. You know, the step above me. I'm still at like I'm not going to be like the humble brag. I'm a small channel with 120,000. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to be a dickhead. But what I will say is like I'd say we're like medium. You know, on the broach of becoming large channel. That's what she said. And sorry, couldn't do it. I couldn't help it.
Different kind of weapon.
Yeah. So right now we have an interesting kind of subgroup around us. You know, some of the friends that I've grown up with and their channels have done successful. You know, have been successful as well. We have a different issue. We don't really have a full on like built up business supporting us. We have to rely on this ad revenue coming in. Where I can tell you, like if we're talking about Mr. Guns and Gear, John Patton, those guys, you might not see it on the camera, but they are some of the smartest business guys I have ever met in my entire life. I have received some very, very good advice from them, and the stuff that they do to solidify their business behind the scenes that you guys don't see is unreal.
Well,
it's really good. I don't have that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, we're so beholden. And when you called me with that opportunity, like everything that we do is chase views. We have to have those views because that's what we use to sell to the sponsor. to keep the channel alive. So we don't have to worry about YouTube ad revenue. Imagine a world where I don't have to worry. The only thing I have to worry about is the actual strike. Like, who cares if it goes yellow, green, purple, just as long as it doesn't go red, or you get the actual strike to kill off the channel, which it does nobody any good because then you can't fight back. Imagine how much freedom you would have.
Right.
Imagine how much fun you could have, especially for a comedy content creator like myself. Imagine how savage you could get if it was some just stupid content that you wanted to just rip your beard hair or your head hair out, or all this other crap. We just don't rip your pubes, man. That hair really sucks.
Yeah, that's how he got that way, Brandon.
That's all. Pat used to be Patchy, man. Patch Adams got his nickname from me.
And just so you know, Tyler,
Alopecia Adams.
You've teased it out a couple of times, and I'm going to bring it around at the end of the conversation about the opportunity that we're talking about, because I really want to beat the drum on this and like where we're going. Over
can I talk
side,
about if we're riffing here? I'd love to kind of pigeonhole this back into the challenge. A lot of the challenge that we face. One of the frustration parts. If I had hair, it would have fallen out because of this. Is there's no alternative. There's no viable alternative for a channel of my size just yet. Of course, out in alternative content creator land, pick your pepper box, your Rumbles, your this thing, your that thing. Full 30 in the pack. Is Full 30 even still around? I don't know if it's still around or not. But your alternative platform, Float Plane is another example. All of that stuff, right? Where's the viewers at? They're still going to YouTube. So we have to find a way as a community. This is what we've talked about, because the diehard Rumble supporters, which I'm finding out there's a lot more than I thought there were, are over on Rumble saying, why don't you post over here? We're watching over here. We want you over here. And you're looking at that saying, I've been posting over there for 6 weeks and you don't know I'm there. That's the problem. So there's no awareness that we're over there for us. That's a challenge from a YouTube perspective. So that makes me want to stay on YouTube, just try to grow the audience that I want. But then I YouTube's punching me in the face saying, no, fuck you. We hate you. We want you off our platform. So now I'm sitting there, rock hard place, meat fucking meat. And I've got a business riding on this shit that feeds my fucking family. So the first viable offer that I can secure my business with and secure my future for a period of time, like 3 to 5 years, I am so in. Your head will spin. And we're hungry for it. We definitely are. But what we really want is security to grow that business. The people that are at 50,000 or above are committed to this from a business perspective most of the time. It's not a hobby for them anymore. They're trying to build a passion.
And here's
their
the
message
thing, man.
out.
They know where to hit you guys, right? Which is unfortunate, because they're targeting your livelihood. And the unfortunate thing is YouTube is one of those things where all of the power exists because everybody is over there. If people started moving to other platforms and the followership went as well to Rumble, let's just use Rumble,
and sponsorships.
And the sponsorships.
So this is the ultimate thing. Yes, this is the ultimate thing. Is the community has to make that concerted commitment together. The creator can't just go over there by himself and say, nobody's here. Bummer, super depressed. The viewers want, they can't just go over there by themselves, and the content creators can't follow. Like, they got to move together, and then the sponsors have to go there too to keep supporting that ecosystem. It's a 3-pronged ecosystem in my brain, and they all have to, it's obviously much more complicated than that, but simplified down, they all have to move at the same time or very, very quickly. One thing after another. I think that there's possible opportunity to do that, but we have to find the right one, and that's pretty much it. Bring the business. That's where it is.
It's difficult because go ahead, Chris.
No, 100%. And I was just going to capitalize on the opportunity. So it's like one of the things that we're trying to work with. And Tyler, this is why I reached out to you specifically. And I was like, hey, I have this opportunity. I remember calling you that evening and said, hey, man, we just got turned on. And people at Rumble are going to see this video. One of the reasons that I wanted to make this with you so badly is because this is like our resume to them. This is our business plan that we're putting on camera to give to them, right? And saying like, hey, this is kind of the plan that I would like to do. And if you guys are paying attention, there's opportunities for hundreds of thousands of viewers to migrate to your platform tomorrow. There's opportunities for you to turn your algorithms on better to support your creators, because as the creators come over and they feel like they're being supported and they can bring their viewers over and they're having that opportunity to grow, and they're bringing their sponsors with them, which are going to bring the money. It is a win-win-win-win. For the viewers are getting better content. And one of the reasons I wanted to start with the GunTube community so much is I'm a GunTube like enthusiast myself. Like, ask anybody that knows me. I go to church on Sundays. I come home, I crack open a beer, I sit down and I catch up. I catch up with Chris from Humble Marksman. I catch up with you. I catch up with Garantham. I catch up with, right? And so it's like, this is how I spend my afternoon, and I go through the Gun Collective and catch up on my gun news, like what's going on in the industry, right? But it's like, one of the reasons I wanted to start with the GunTube community so much is because you guys are being throttled. People are hungry. Like, YouTube is the second highest
espoused to our rights too.
Right. YouTube is the second highest searched website behind Google. People want to learn how to do anything. Like, they'll go to YouTube and how to whatever.
Correct.
And GunTubers have such an awesome opportunity to be helping people learn and become enthusiasts and hobbyists and get into the community, but things that you can't do on YouTube, which is the thing that people are hungry and thirsty for, is like, how do I install this Timney trigger in my Glock? Right? What an awesome video that would be. Let me sit down and I'll show you right here. And, you know, can't say because, you know, we're trying to send this out to your YouTube videos, but like your YouTube viewers, but like stuff like that. And one of the visions that I have, if we can, like you said, as a concerted effort in this community, move viewers and sponsors over and get tied in with the people at Rumble that work the algorithms, is because it's like, you can then go back to your viewers and be like, hey, check it out. I made this awesome video. I'm going to start teaching you how to do things again that I can't show you here, but over here I can. And like, that's where the good, juicy content is, and come over and see me. And then you'll get that effect where eventually the people that are still, you know, YouTube will become the cat video place again, because people will be hanging out there, you know, butt fucking and giving each other their reach arounds or whatever they do. And they're going to be looking over the fence, and we're all, you know, beer babes and barbecue and rocking out with our cocks out. And they're going to be like, what is going on over there? They look like they're having a lot of fun. And then that's when the tipping point happens.
Across the hall.
Exactly. And then everybody starts flooding over, you know?
My bid on this is definitely, you got to get 2 out of the 3 and the third will come. Like, you show that there's viability for 2 out of the 3. The audience and the creators, the sponsors will make their way over.
Sure.
Exactly.
Like, and dude, imagine that. I could bring every gun company over to my channel if I said, I can guarantee you 100+ views or 100,000 views in 24 hours. I can guarantee you that on a video sponsor.
Listen,
that's the
possible.
Easiest sale of all time. Now they have a solid home on the GunTubers sponsor list. And they said, oh, this Rumble thing is legit. Guess what? Now they're going to come calling. They're going to answer that email when you send it out. You prove that you can do it for the GunTubers, which is who the sponsors want to see succeed. Because trust me, there's bad apples out there, but a lot of the gun companies, even like the big ones, they're really, really close with their creators. They're super good because that's their credibility to the industry. Right. So you let the creators get taken care of. The sponsors see that. The sponsors say, this is a safer ecosystem than it is volatile over on YouTube. We're going to come over here now. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of other conservative-based places, once they see the firearms industry go, come on over.
That's it, man. That's it. That's the big one.
I mean, okay, this might be like super duper egotistical. Like, I'm going to out conservative everybody. No, I'm kidding. But like, is there a more heavily like watched conservative community right now than the 2A group? Like,
I don't think so.
There? I'm asking as a general question. I think that there isn't, but like, if the big, like, high profile case decides to go that way, then all of the other people that are waiting on that big high profile thing to happen, they're going to go that way too. Right. It's just a cascade effect.
It takes one to start, you know, the snowflake that starts the avalanche.
Business? Yeah, no, it's true, man.
And business.
And to go back to your comment about the 3-pronged thing, right? If you're somebody who watches Tundra Tactical, if you're watching this episode and you're sick and tired of hearing Tyler sit there and say, like, I would talk about this, but I can't, right? It incentivizes you. You already followed and you subscribed to him for a reason, right? The incentive here is for you to go watch him unencumbered by stupid rules that YouTube wants to sit here and put on people,
unburdened
people
by
down.
What has been.
Unburdened by what has been, right? Where's my Doritos, Tim? But no. Go. I get it, man. Right. You don't want another app on your phone or whatever the dorky reason is you don't want it. Go and follow.
Delete YouTube then.
Yeah, delete YouTube. Yeah, there you go. Replace it. But no, what's the incentive for you? You want to watch the creator that you follow for a reason. You want to watch him talk about and make content for you specifically that isn't limited. Go on Rumble and do it. That's the incentive, man. We all talk about how we feel disenfranchised by big tech or big pharma or big government or whatever it is. Speak in a way that you can. Leave an app that you know is essentially being tyrannical and go someplace and speak your way that way and show them that you're not going to tolerate it anymore. And if that happens, then maybe YouTube will be like, you know what? Holy shit, we just lost all this revenue because no one's watching on YouTube anymore.
See, here's the challenge with that, though. YouTube hasn't been a profitable business pretty much since its existence and acquisition by Google. They don't give a shit about the creators. They do not care. They don't make money. They don't care about that. They're propped up by Google. It is not something that's one of the reasons why it's so difficult to fight them, because you attack them where you think it would hurt, and it doesn't hurt them because they're like, haha, hey Google. Dad, can I have some more money? And they're like, oh yeah, just rain down more.
Yeah, I guess it's like asking people to use DuckDuckGo or Brave over Google. You know, I use Brave for
I got on that Brave train last week too. But one thing that you were talking about, Brandon, that I think is worth putting an exclamation point on too, though, is the you know, what does it cost you? A couple clicks of your thumb on your phone to support somebody that you say, you know, because I love the I wish a motherfucker would crowd, right? And I think that there's a lot of them in the 2A community because they like to sit back and they're cleaning their guns and they're like, this country can never be
30,000 rounds. I'm also 300 pounds.
Yeah, you're a loot drop, bud. So anyway, like
you drop common loot, dog.
Yeah, common
loot.
I don't want your sky pistol, dude. I'm walking over you.
But it does crack me up, the so-called conservatives that like to sit around and bitch about how bad the government is and like to talk big about, you know, big tech censorship and everything, and you go, okay, well, here's one tiny little thing that you can do. I'm not downloading a whole nother app. Like, come on, guys, that's way too much. And you're like,
my favorite is the keyboard warrior in the comments criticizing me. You know, actually, you should be doing this and this and this, and you're a terrible human being. And I was like, bro, how's your YouTube channel doing? Because my voice is actually attached to my face with an opinion. Yours is just words on a screen, homie, and that's all you're ever going to be. Get bent.
These are Amazon essential plates.
Brandon and I had a dude drop in our comments last week, and it cracked me up because he was like, I'm LDS, and you guys have great content, but you have such bad potty mouths. I was barely able to get through the episode, but I still followed you. And I was like, you're going to be really disappointed moving forward.
You know, honestly, no, bro, if that guy's watching right now, first of all, I'm going to give him a round of applause. Honestly, not making fun of him at all. Genuinely, way to slug it out. And I understand. I've been there.
Thank you.
The way he feels about you is probably the way I feel about going to like a good stage play. Like, I kind of I don't know. Yeah. But yeah.
Speaking of LDS and good stage plays, you ever seen Book of Mormon? That's a funny one. Anyway.
That's a funny one. Yeah. I have not seen it, but I know all about it. Those two are big inspirations. Yeah. So honestly, those two, Trey and Matt, are big inspirations on my
Trey and Matt.
My persona. One is so Trey and Matt and pretty much Seth MacFarlane. Even though I know Seth MacFarlane's a raging liberal, I get it. But he's like,
still funny.
He's still funny, but come on, the roasting that he does is so good. Separate the art from the politics.
Everybody can get it, man. South Park, no one is safe, and I love it. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. So
nobody's
for me,
gonna catch heat.
That's a big thing. Is I want to now get. I feel like I get to turn up the heat. I feel like I get to turn up the heat because I'm not burdened by those rules anymore.
Right.
They kick me in the shins for playing nice and trying to be a proper content creator on their platform. Well, now I get to turn up the heat and say whatever the heck I want. I can talk about whether or not I'm going to move from one platform to the other on the platform that I might be moving of, because get bent. Nobody likes you. You're adopted, YouTube. Like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah. Well, and speaking from an unconventional warfare,
you kind of are adopted. Google owns you,
Speaking from an unconventional warfare standpoint too, it always cracks me up because one of the founding principles of unconventional warfare is when you leave people no vent, to redress their grievances, like, you are ensuring a thriving underground. You are ensuring a thriving black market. Like, people will go to speak like where they want to. It is the natural state of man to want to be free.
Should I move?
And so, like, the more that YouTube like squashes this thing, I like Dan Bongino's analogy of like the beach ball. It's like the more you try to push this thing under the surface, the more that it's gonna blow up in your face. Right? And it is. And you're making the point so succinctly that you were like, I was trying to work with you. I will tell you this right now.
Good. It was a light switch decision.
You did this to me. You know, I was going along just fine.
Ask my wife to summarize all of the pacing rants of the last 6 weeks, and she will say this: you forced me into this position.
Right.
I tried. I actively sacrificed some of my reputation in my community by not, being a bitch and being too nice, toning down my content for, the money that kept the lights on in my house. And my daughter fed. Now I don't have that. And for me, that's freaking great. I love that because I can say whatever the hell I want,
right?
And be happy about it. I can feel like I'm not holding back. I mean, creatively, I was dead. It was very difficult, especially in the last 8 months, to record videos. I was sitting back there and I was just like, I believe what I'm saying, but I'm not saying it in the way I want to.
Right.
Because I have to be whatever I think YouTube says I should be. And that's just not a fucking way to, that's not a way to be, I'm not going to say an artist, but be creative. What I do isn't art. What I do is I don't know. I guess I make people laugh, but
well, I mean, it's Johnny Cash going in to talk to the record executives and like, fuck you. I'm going and making a live record in a prison. And they're like,
and that's,
stuff like that. Like, the history of the arts, like, no matter what they are full of creative guys that are looking at people that have the wallets and going, you know what, fuck you. Like, I'm going to do what I want. And this art is going to be great because of it.
Exactly.
So you come from a long lineage of much more genius people than us, making the same decision. And then at the end of the day, it's kind of a trope, but it's true. And it's worth repeating that the one person that you're going to have to live with is the guy that you see in the mirror. And so it's like, if you're okay with being the wind up monkey and looking at yourself in the mirror, and then I think you made the right choice. And like I said, not to blow too much sunshine up your butthole, but like that first video you dropped, you were like, fuck you, YouTube. I was like, and Tyler re-entered the chat. What is up? I'm listening now,
back,
baby. and it really put a wind in my sails again too, because it's like, as we all go through this thing and we're trying to, influence or whatever it is, like, that Brandon and I's big thing is 1A and freedom of speech, right? Like, I think that's like, we got to do our thing over here in this foxhole so that you guys in the 2A community can do your thing over
hand
here.
In hand,
and
baby.
It is, it's a big synergistic, where it's all one big circle jerk, right? But
if you went there, But by the way, you were talking about unconventional warfare, especially, by the way, you look very unconventional warfare-y right now. If that was a look right now, the backwards baseball cap, the scruffy gruff little beard, you are screaming GWAT at the top of your lungs.
I'm not going to say who said I looked like Captain Price from Modern Warfare the other day. I was like, oh,
you just got to shave that centerpiece down.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, you do that for Halloween and I'll wear Ghosts.
Yes. Let's do it, dude.
And talk like this.
Yeah. No,
Bravo 6. Going dark.
It's great, man. But I'm really excited because like you talk numbers. I'll throw some numbers out too, just so that people understand, because I do want people that are watching this video to understand kind of the stuff that we're talking about. Brandon and I like randomly came across a nut the other day, blind squirrels and broken clocks and all that jazz. And we went from being like a tiny like no name channel to all of a sudden I called you and I'm like, hey Tyler, we just had a video get 97.9 thousand views in 24 hours. And I remember specifically you said to me, which blew my mind. You were like, hold on, because you were streaming and you actually picked up the phone for me, which I appreciate. And you went, hold on, can you cover this for me? You have my attention. And I was kind of blown away because I know like 120,000 subscribers, what you're working with on YouTube, and I'm still kind of relatively new to the game, so I don't know like what big numbers look like, and I don't really always have
tell you all you want to know
context, right, to plug all that stuff into. But I remember going, wait, is that big? And you went, if I could get half that, and I was like, okay, well, I have something that I want to talk to you about, and I'm really excited moving forward because next video we dropped, right? Ready for this? 82,000 views in 24
almost
hours
90 now.
and almost 90, and not so much of a controversial topic. It's just kind of us riffing with a really good friend of ours. So it's we're definitely always refining and trying to make the videos better and coming with conversations and guests that people care about and they want to hear, because you should always be improving your foxhole. But it's like, yeah, once we show that we can like consistently do that, I was on the phone with you and I'm like, Tyler, I think this is the opportunity that we're waiting for.
Thank you for thinking of us.
You know what I mean?
Really genuinely appreciate it, man.
Oh, we enjoy working
I'll be
with
very
you,
honest with you. YouTube has hit us so hard. First of all, I got to give a round of applause. There are going to be a few people from my Twitch community that are going to be watching this. If you guys don't know, I'm also a full-time Twitch streamer every day, starting 7 p.m. to midnight, usually thereabouts Central Time, GMT -6 for our non-American folk.
You got me
I'm over
really
there on
good,
Twitch.
By the way, the other day when my
Tundra Gaming Live. What's that?
When my Twitch thing came down, you said, "Wait, like." Tyler replied to you, "Wait, does this actually work?" And I was like, "Did he just message me?" you got me, dude. I got rickrolled so
Let's
hard.
Go!
Hey, I got you pretty good the other day too in the text messages.
Ooh, yeah. All right. So yeah, Tundra Gaming Live
anyway,
over there.
So
I don't know why
your
I'm talking
Twitch guys
about
that
this.
are going to see this.
They're going to see this, and shit, I lost my train of thought. Son of a busket. Or biscuit. It's all right. We're not live. We can edit this out. What was I going to talk about? It was specifically related to Twitch, and we were talking about the Rumble thing earlier. It'll come back.
Yeah,
to
you're
me
streaming.
eventually.
You were giving us where we can find you on Twitch. Is what you were talking about.
Yeah.
And then you hope your Twitch streamers see this because
I know I'm trying to figure out what it was. Dang it, man!
My
it was
bad.
something specific. No, it's all good. This is the consequence of a long. This is me I'm on day number 5 of being on, right? And I'm at my like wit's end. It's been ridiculous. Something about I know what it is. It's a big thank you to them. So I want to give a shout out to my Twitch streamers here real quick, because through all of this challenge, I talked about how hard YouTube has come after us, monetarily speaking. The Twitch stream has really put us on their back. The very kind and generous folks of the War Thunder community and the Twitch community here that we've built have put us on their back, and we've been trying to raise about $100 a day just because that's what I value my time at on the internet for a few hours. And they've been amazing and have almost, like up until recently, which I've asked a lot of them, and I totally understand. We were doing it like $100 a day, and they allowed me to get out to Knoxville to go pitch my business. And since we're talking about it right now, to the Rumble guys listening, I talked about that deal you guys signed, and everybody that I talked to, and there are some very big names involved in that list. Sponsor wise, they all said, "Excuse me, what?"
Well, just so everything's above board, there's nothing on paper right now. We would like to turn it into a thing, but it is a verbal handshake, and for you know who you are that we're working with on Rumble. Thank you so very much for the opportunity that you've given us. I hope that you see this video and receive this thank you and this shout out. This is exactly what I was trying to talk to you about, getting with these guys and their hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And now you can see the passion, you can see the creators that want to come over, and we want to bring all this business to you. It is a win-win for everybody involved.
If nothing else, was it the CEO of Rumble on X the other day put the call out to all gun tubers? Like, I think that's what I saw. It might have been fake, but it looked pretty legit to me.
I would like to hope that I had something to do with that if they're talking behind closed doors, because
I know.
I think so, dude. I think so.
We've been loud. I've been emailing back and forth, explaining.
I'm now trying to tell the sponsors that there's an opportunity here that they're not seeing as well. Right. I'm trying to grease the wheels of that potential. That's awesome. You guys bring us, start bringing us over, and those sponsors that are attached to us start coming over too. I'm trying to start greasing those wheels, and
good.
They're looking at me like, if that's true, dude, like there's something there that you know how the industry is. Nobody's going to commit to the handshake deal like you were talking about. But if there's proof of numbers and opportunity, because that's all anybody really wants is an opportunity to have unrestricted chance at success. That's really what we're talking about. It's not what kind of deal can I get that sets me up better than the next guy. It's what kind of deal can I get, or what kind of chance do I get at an unrestricted chance at success or unrestricted opportunity. That says, it doesn't matter who I am, doesn't matter the color of my skin, doesn't matter what face I have, doesn't matter what my voice sounds like, doesn't matter what's coming out of my voice, my opinions on things. I just have an unrestricted chance at finding the other folks like me and that believe what I say out there. That's the opportunity that we're all looking for, and that's my final kind of statement, not final statement, but that's my true thought process on. Yes, it's a business. Yes, there's money involved. But at the end of the day, it's the ideas that got us the commitment from the fans to get here. And we have to have a place to express those ideas, not suppressed out, not restricted. No rules, man. Let's party.
This is just a modern John Stuart Mill marketplace of ideas, free speech thing, man. And it's evolving into something else. And thank God for people like Chris Pavlovsky from Rumble, the actual creator of Rumble. Yeah, that's him.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm sorry, I have to interject. I'm gonna get up. Hey, Rumble, if you really want to get commitment from GunTube creators, I know this is probably going to cost money because I don't know if you have an infrastructure like this or not, but here's a very big suggestion. Get yourself a content creator team and a direct interface with the executives and the decision makers and the big hitters at Rumble. Get 10, 15, 20 people just for the big influx of GunTubers that I can hopefully help facilitate, bring over, and you guys and the rest of the community once the word gets there, because then when we have that direct interface, somebody to call, hey, Chris, John, what's up, man? Hey, I got a quick question on this. Just want to make sure we're, like everything's good. We don't have that with YouTube. That's once again that ambiguity. Like I can't call them up and be like, hey, like I'm trying, I guess, to follow the freaking rules. You want to help out? And most of the time they're just like, yeah, let me go call my boss, and then you don't hear anything back.
Right.
Like nothing happens. So I don't know if that's been thought of or talked about, or if it even exists right now, just because we're not super like big on the platform yet. But if there is an opportunity for that for you, please, please, please build that team. Because that is something that we value greatly, having that, because once again, this is a business as well. We want that direct contact. We don't want to be emailing somebody. We want to have somebody we can call. I have a problem. I'm uploading at 4:00 in the morning. I don't care where, like I need somebody I can talk to if something's going wrong, if there's an issue. My business runs on that deadline, right? And I need to be taken seriously. YouTube does not like content creators. They don't care about content creators. They care about their ad space. I want Rumble, or the alternative platform that we're, looking at, whatever happens in the future. I want them to care about me.
Right.
I want them to be like, I got you back, homie. I got somebody to help you out, just so that you have the opportunity to have that greatest chance of unrestricted success. So that's my TED Talk.
Thank you for coming.
No, and listen, it's not even just GunTube guys, right? Because most military creators in general,
that's selfish of me to think only of one. Yeah.
No. I'm not trying to say you're selfish, because you're not, right? Because you don't have to be military to be a gun content creator at all, right? But the point I'm just trying to make is most mil content creators, we're going to talk about the same shit. Most of us believe in the Constitution, right? We all took oaths to defend it, right? Most of us are going to talk about First Amendment. Most of us are going to talk about guns and the Second Amendment culture, right? So just the fact that the presence from the mill content creator isn't over there on Rumble is wild. What?
Oh, hold on. Can I do my Roomba?
When he dropped the president, I was like, oh, where's he going with this? I thought you were getting ready to
Was that a good Joe? Was that a good Sleepy Joe Roomba?
That was a good one.
He backs up and
then did I say Biden? I'm so confused. I'm so thrown off right now.
You said the president instead of the presence, and so I was like,
"Oh, did I? I think I said
you corrected yourself.
Oh, did I?
You corrected. Oh, okay.
You backed up and then took a running start and got it again.
Yeah, no. I was trying to say the word precedence. It's okay.
Got you.
But no, I was just saying that it's a surprise that we're not all over there anyway. It's a place you know you're not going to be limited. So I don't understand why you wouldn't go someplace where you're not going to have to fight an uphill battle we do on Instagram or YouTube in the first place. I mean, money for sure.
Yep. I'll give you the content creator perspective. It's the opposite. This is that 3-pronged problem here again. That you get 2 out of 3 and it works. But we chase the views at this level. For any aspiring content creator, like I'm at 120,000 subscribers. I'm very lucky to be able to call this my full-time job. I get to go to gun events and party and hang out and have fun and get paid to do it. It's the dopest life in the world. But I just barely make enough money to survive, and pay one other person. I am not like rich. or anything. Like there's this big misconception like I had in new content creator land, where if you hit 100,000 subscribers, man, you were set. Like this was it. And maybe it was back then, but now I make and I told you, I was actually lying to you a little bit. The estimated revenue for the last 28 days for me is $531.
That's crazy, dude.
That's it. So it's
like
a
working
grind,
at the grocery store in 1998.
Yep, it's a grind. I get paid so much less than minimum wage to do this full time.
Right.
And so that's why a lot of us ask for money and ask for donations and ask for, hey, hit up on the PayPal and stuff like this, because we are getting they're trying to shut us down. That's why over on Twitch, I'm asking for that $100 a day, because we built this business understanding that this could happen. I had a plan in place to build the Twitch audience as a contingency to say, if this ever comes under attack, I need a secondary source of income to keep the fight going, because I've always said the only way you really lose this game is if you quit.
Yeah, that's true, man. It's like anything else, dude. I
don't want to quit, man, but there is a way for them to force me out, and that's just deplatform me by taking all my money away. Well, I can't broadcast from the street effectively. Well, I mean, maybe I can actually.
You could. I mean, but here's one of the most glaring things to me that is like, I think, just a slap in the face of everybody is these corporations like Google or Meta. They want to say that they can make money and fund other organizations in the same way that a human being or a person can. So they have these same protections, right? But at the same time, when somebody like you or us, we make content that they don't necessarily agree with and they want to censor it, they can say, oh, well, I'm a private organization or I'm a private entity here and I can censor whatever I like.
Cake and eat it too. Yep.
Exactly, man.
So Google has obviously argued legally that they are a public forum and deserve to have those what is it, 230C protections. Yep, so they deserve to have that according to the government, but also nobody cares and bats an eye when they start selectively going through what type of content is allowed. They shouldn't have terms and conditions if they're a forum, a public forum. You should be allowed to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Regardless of if it's harmful or not, man. That is the problem. That not the problem. That is the consequence of freedom of speech that you have to be willing to accept. You can't be a baby.
Be attacked and killed, man. Ideas are supposed to be attacked and killed.
You can't be a baby about it. You have to understand that you are going to face difficult situations in your life. I don't care if you're 15 years old watching this right now, or my age, 38 years old, or double that. You're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to have to make somewhat of a difficult decision. Maybe the severity of that decision isn't going to be too consequential, but there will come a time, especially if you work in Chris's job or my old job or your job currently, that there will be a time where you have to make a critical decision. And if you have not prepared yourself adequately and mentally for that decision by having difficult conversations and forming actual opinions, not just regurgitating the force-fed crap that you're given from your parents or from your parents' parents or from another relative or a news source or the phone sitting 6 inches in front of your face, 16 hours a day. When you start thinking for yourself and you can break the mold, the rat race is the term I use, man. You break out and you can see things for the way, this is, but now you're tinfoil hat, man. You're saying, oh, look at this. You put on the glasses and you can see through everybody just like the fucking movie. Obey, dude. Obey. That's what they want you to do. And this is the thing that I'm learning. I was obeying the system. I was feeding into that shit by trying to follow those rules. YouTube can now proper get fucked and hear really what I got to say, man. And 100%. I'm sure the fans will be happy to hear me say it again.
We worked it into our founding documents of the channel when Brandon and I came together. We made a here's what we believe as we're going to work, together. We called it the Ignis Compact.
Way more professional. Holy smokes.
Well, we had to have something that we could look back at and be like, hey,
sort of point at something and say, here are the ideals.
Are we upholding this or have we gotten away from it? It's our version of driving stakes into the ground, and one of them was there is no such thing as hate speech, only free speech.
Sure.
Like that's it. Free speech protects hate speech.
Yes,
right.
It does.
It's all it's
absolutely
all of
does.
It's okay.
Well,
or none of it.
And that's the thing. We're talking about this too, right? Like we can get a little deep on here, talk about it from a philosophical standpoint too. If you're censoring people and you're censoring ideas and they're not allowed to enter the marketplace of free ideas, they can't be killed. But at the same time, if I say to you something, whatever it is, an opinion of mine, and you don't hear the opposite side of that opinion, you cannot truly formulate the entire idea of what it
Obey,
means.
dude.
It's
Obey.
It's
It's
like,
Orwell.
how can
It's
you
Orwellian.
appreciate? Sure. How can you appreciate good if you've never experienced evil or whatever, right? I'm not saying everything is good or evil, but the point is, if you don't have the
What
opportunity
if
to
the
have
evil
your
is
ideas
feeding you the
refuted,
idea of good?
right? If you don't have the opportunity to have your idea refuted, how are you going to know if it's wrong? How are you going to know that you can change? How are you going to completely understand a complex idea if you can't hear the other side? And
Right.
it's the whole thing. If it deserves to be killed by the truth, let it be killed by the truth. You
Right.
shouldn't be trying to regulate what people hear and what people see, because now you're determining what other people's perspectives get to be. And now we're venturing into the realm of dangerous.
You want to talk about dangerous? I'm about to say something real dangerous because as it stands right now, everyone will just laugh at me if they say if they feel or if they think I feel this way. But how about trusting your fellow human being to make the right decision?
There's
Like
that.
there was a time, you can't everyone laughs at that right now. That's a joke. That's a fucking problem, dude.
It is a
Mhm.
problem.
That's
now.
a problem that's a joke. Rewind the clock 40 years, somebody would have slapped you in the face if you laughed at that because they
Right.
could. I mean, in most cases, sure. It wasn't perfect, but in most cases you could. Now 40 years ago, true, there were a lot of things that were better than they are currently right now. It was a lot
No
easier
doubt.
but they had specific challenges that were unique to them as well. Here's the point. Nowadays, that's a joke, and that is a problem. We have no trust for people to make those right decisions because, like you were saying, Brandon, they haven't built up the ability to make those critical decisions.
Mm-mm.
They've just said, "Oh,
I mean,
that's the thing I keep hearing over and over and over again. It
And-
must be right."
And people are so comfortable now with relinquishing their freedom of thought and the ability that they have to think. They don't want to do it for themselves. A
Mhm.
lot of people would rather have somebody tell them how to think or tell them how to act, because as a society, we've grown to the point where we're so comfortable that we've built a bubble around everything we do. And there's a comfortability in being controlled and everything being controlled. And these kids that grew up that way are now becoming adults. So they are okay with that existence. And this is just perpetuating this. I'm okay with control. Tell me what to think, mommy and daddy. And we're reaching the point now where it's almost like critical mass, right? We can only make so much of this shit, or it's going to fucking blow up in our faces. And we're at the point now where the meter is hit red, and we're about to either go over the ledge of this, or we're going to it's critical turnaround point, right? It's where we're at right now. Chris, I know you got something to say.
No, I mean, I'm actually going to abandon that point and jump on this one with 2 feet with you, because that's one of the reasons that Hannah and I do the 1990s style, like free range parenting thing, like the way that the way that we do, right? Like we send our kids outside. I'm lucky enough to live in a very, very safe community where I don't have to worry about it, right? Because I have the security. But it's like, no, especially during the summer, I look at my boys and I'm like, go outside, be home by the time the streetlights come on. Right, like that's it. Because it's like, I want my kids to go and have to be in those situations where they're having to figure out things for themselves. They're not looking down here at screens. They're not on iPads. They're not on freaking phones. I don't let my children have access to social media. You guys know what my thought is about that. Like, you are actively cutting the knees out from under children by hooking and tethering their brain to that.
Sure.
Like we know that social media is terrible for developing children. And then also too, it's like I want them to learn how to think for themselves and to be in situations that causes them to have problem.
Man, you gotta get a couple of bumps and bruises to learn a few lessons.
You absolutely have to, right? And I remember a few years ago where there was a pretty big thing happening between 2020 and 2021, and this is furthering your point, Brandon, about people just not being allowed to think for themselves, because it's like, hey, we're going to squash all of this information, and only this information is allowed to get out. YouTube was actually like absolutely one of the worst offenders when it came to this. You can't say this, you can't prevent that.
Mm-hmm.
It goes against the science, and so like there was a large amount of people that are like, I want to be lied to, like I'm comfortable with that, and this is just the way things are. And then there was another group of people that once they started realizing that things weren't exactly the way that the narrative said that they were, fast forward 4 years and you have the author of most of this mischief that happened to us sit in front of Congress and then just go, oh yeah, that whole 6 feet thing and the masks that just kind of appeared, and it's
happened.
like, and he's telling people that they just made that shit up out of thin air. I don't know how anybody that can sit and watch that video and then lived through that can come away with any other opinion, then I don't trust anything that I see on the internet anymore. I don't trust anything that I see in the media. Look what they did to our lives.
They made action figures of that dude. No, they really did.
I should get one just so I can like throw it in the fire pit and watch it melt. That would be great.
Just fucking Sid from Toy Story, that thing.
Yeah. Let's go outside and play.
Right.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I had to hit a couple of messages here. I was kind of in and out listening to the last little bit, but there was just a little business thing that popped up there. I apologize about.
You're all good, man.
No, man. The point is, bro, is like we're talking to you about trying to pull you over and trying to make a point that, listen, speak. Those of you guys who are listening, speak with where you're going to direct your attention and give your attention to a place that's going to let you hear the content creators that you selected for yourself, unencumbered by all the bullshit. And it's bigger than that. Okay. It doesn't just exist on social media, this control. It doesn't just exist on, these channels like YouTube, right? This is a bigger societal issue that all of us are facing.
Yeah,
it's not just, no, it really is. This isn't things that you're just dealing with online. It's your life, dude. These people take
literally.
What's up? No, yeah.
It's like literally my life. Like, how am I going to have a life for my family?
Right.
If I keep having to deal with this.
And I go back to something I've said before. If you think that it's okay while you sit and watch somebody else get censored, and you think, all right, well, I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to talk about gun content, or I'm not going to talk about free speech, or whatever's being censored, the hot topic of the day. Don't think that there isn't a point where they're going to come for you or whatever it is you want to talk about, because it always happens. It'll
Pastor
get to
Martin,
the point
dude.
where everything is, it talks about, Pastor Martin Niemöller, right? There will be a time where they come for you. You will not be safe the whole time. And the longer you even if you disagree with somebody and what they're talking about, you should want to, and you should be okay with the fact that that person has the freedom to say it, because it also means that you have the freedom to say whatever it is that you want to say too. And the idea is, if you want to sit online or you want to get out in public and you want to say some shit and everybody thinks it's dumb, then that's the process of life, man. This experience that you have online, or this first world experience that you have in your neighborhood, in your town, it's a fabrication that's been created and then set on top of what real life is, where like the animal kingdom, where everything is killed that doesn't fucking belong there. The same with truth, the same with ideas, the same with people and the crap that they do. This is the natural part of life. What you're clinging to, this control, this censorship, it's artificial. Everything in life deserves to be either propped up or destroyed based on what human beings themselves are okay with and are moving towards. And no one person has the right to tell you or anybody else what they're okay with, and that you have to fit into that pigeonhole. And that's the end of the story.
Well, and two, it's like people are making rules for you. Are you okay with that? You didn't get a vote in that.
Nah,
Nobody
dude,
sent you an email.
Yeah.
Nobody said, oh, you're not allowed to listen to this. Remember when we were all kids and it's like, oh, rated R, you can't watch that movie. Bullshit, I'm going to go Blockbuster and get that myself. It's like we used to, like, Americans are just pussies now. They just really are.
Big facts.
Like, by and large, they are. And
Big
so
facts.
people ask us on the channel all the time, like in the comments and in my DMs and stuff. It's like, well, what can I do? Like, I want to be a part of this. Well, this is like a very small thing that you can do. If you value your ability to have free speech, if you value your First Amendment right, then go to a place where you can hear information like that you've been preaching about all night, Brandon, where it's uncensored. You can hear the raw information. That is how you secure your ability to have free speech.
Well, and to your point about people being pussies, get used to feeling uncomfortable with ideas that you're not familiar with.
Right.
Just because you listen to
like
somebody, right? Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
Listen,
like,
process
I can totally
the information,
respect you
and then either
if you disagree. Yeah.
Right. Listen, process the information, and either discard it or make it a part of you. That's okay. No matter what it is.
I mean, look at Chris. He joined the army. I still like him.
I can't believe it, man. I know. Listen, I said this to Chris the other night, man. I never heard an airman say, "I wish I joined the army," but I heard a lot of soldiers say, "I wish I joined the Air Force."
Like through my, like, I'm. Oh man, yeah.
Right. Your wife's gonna be like, "Hey, what's that weird red dot in your forehead?"
Why? Yeah, why is the bush moving?
Yeah.
And then there's gonna be like little, like the old, like Tom and Jerry cartoon, like
right.
And it's just gonna be like moving down my, like my HOA is gonna send me letters like, why does the bush in your front yard keep moving? bro.
It'll look like that
Oh
scene.
crap! I was talking crap about the Green Berets. Or
No, it'll look like
do
that
we
scene.
say that?
In,
just remind me. Do we say that here?
Yeah, no, you're
Yeah, no,
fine.
we're good.
Okay.
Okay. It'll be that scene in Monty Python where you're like, look, and I'm like running up the hill. It's like, and you look back, and it's like,
And you're still
it's just,
going.
it's
Aha!
yeah.
Exactly. No, man.
So yeah, I would love to circle back to numbers for a little bit for
Yeah, let's do
YouTube.
it.
You know, this
Mhm.
is for perspective. One of the things that was never really given to me, I don't want to sound like I'm like big brother talking to little brother here, but how many subscribers do you guys have over on the YouTube side of things?
Almost 1,500, bro. We are little brother.
Oh, that's actually okay, more than I thought. And I don't mean that as an insult in any way, shape, or form. What's
Hey,
our
we're gonna
average?
start
Like, what do
somewhere.
you guys get on like average views over there for a podcast episode?
Our new episode
Dozens,
is
hundreds.
hundreds,
Hundreds?
maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is just for perspective, because I wish somebody in my position did this for me when I was in your position. I'm going to do this. And for the audience members, because there might be a content creator out there that wants to know this, that's at a different point. These, I will give you the behind the scenes numbers for my channel this month so that you guys can have something to compare to. I feel like I'm a decent benchmark metric. A lot of people shoot for this goal, that 100,000 subscriber
We'd be
mark.
so
is kind of
thankful
the
to
first
be
big
at
goal.
your level, bro. Yeah.
That was, yeah, dude, that was me last year, you know, or year and a half ago before we got the plaque. So here's where we're at. And this is beneficial for the other parties that might be listening into. 120,857 subscribers. I have gained 831 in the past 28 days. That is awful for me. Awful. I was at the point, and this
Wow.
could be a consequence of my channel just sucking now. Like, we're not talking about that. I have
Sure.
to acknowledge it.
There's always that possibility.
People might be less interested in what I have to say. I very highly doubt that, though, because I'm being recognized more and more in public. The
Right.
subscriber numbers are still going up. Fortunately, we've never had a lost month. But here it is. So that's 831 in the past 28 days. My overall view count, 183,001. You guys got more views in 2 videos than I got all month.
That's crazy, bro.
That is nuts.
Okay?
Shout out
Now,
Rebel.
Once again, your input or your imprint on YouTube significantly smaller than mine. And I don't mean to use this platform to toot my own horn because you are legends who brought this information to me. But imagine what somebody like me can do
Exactly.
on that
Crush it.
platform
That's
as well.
exactly why we want to pull you over, dude.
Right. And then on top of that too,
And I
talking
apologize
to-
if that
talking
sounds
to,
super
you know,
self-serving.
talking
It's
to
not, dude,
you know
at all.
you know who you are. One of the things that I'm trying to describe to the Rumble crew is just how loyal the 2A GunTube community is as far as the
Yes.
viewers are, and how loyal the military community is and the veteran community is to their content creators that they come to trust and that they go to view. Like, they are some of the most loyal viewers that I've seen across all of social media, and they will stick with you through thick and thin and turn on those notifications and come and find you like where you are. And I'm trying to describe
They'll
this
hunt
to
you
them
down,
because
dude.
I'm like,
Yeah.
because I'm like, if you get a hold of this community, I guarantee you will get a hold of a community that they'll never jump off your platform once
There
they're there.
is, I mean, we'll
It's
we'll
important
talk
to know.
about the community in its proper and fair light. They're an internet community, and they are loyal, but they are still an internet community.
Sure.
You say some dumb shit that goes against their you know, the way that they want their beliefs to be seen. They're going to attack you for it. And you
Yeah.
know what? That's why I fucking love them, because they're
Exactly.
a self-policing community
Right.
that take care of themselves.
Keeping people honest.
If there's a cancer in that community, that cancer gets worked out by the body that
Say
is the
one bad thing
viewership of
about
that
Glock.
community.
Say
Or
one
anything.
bad thing about
Right.
Glock,
Honestly,
and he will
I mean,
get-
that's the whole reason I exist. Whatever you do
Yeah.
is wrong. You could buy the best possible thing for the best possible situation, and it's still wrong. Somebody is going
Yeah.
to attack you,
right.
and that's good news and bad news. You know, that's the thing. It's an
And
internet community, but it is a very, very loyal internet
Right.
community. Yes.
For perspective, in the last 28 days, our channel has got 81. So you're at 800 something, we're at 81, which, I mean, I'm not shaking my fist at all, but like,
Yeah, dude.
that's
That's actually pretty darn good for 1,500.
Yeah.
We're talking watch hours for me, and this is all down. It's consistently trending down. My
Mhm.
typical watch range, by the way, before the ad change,
Mhm.
I'm at, excuse me, my views, 831,000 or
Mhm.
sorry, not 831,000, 183,000. That's my dyslexia kicking in.
No worries.
My typical range, 329 to 686,000.
Wow.
That's how hard YouTube has hit me. in the last 6 weeks.
Our watch time. Go ahead. Sorry.
25. My normal is 25,000 to 38,000.
Wow.
I'm at 14.9.
Damn, man, they're fucking cutting you guys off at the knees, dude.
Yep. Typical estimated revenue. I talked about it earlier.
I'm not even there yet.
You heard it, but 531 is what I'm getting right now, and it's just not acceptable. It's completely. It's obvious that censorship is happening, but it's not. You know, there's YouTube is very good at argument.
May I ask, and if you don't feel comfortable sharing, like, please just.
It's an open book today.
Have you had to let people go, make changes to the structure?
Very close to. Yep.
Yeah.
Very close to. I'm very, very blessed to have 3 guys who pour their heart and soul out for me under very little expectation, if none, in some cases, for money. I try my hardest to compensate for services as best I can for my guys. I'm fortunate enough to make enough extra money to be able to help do that for some others. Like, you know, the guy that I support's a single dad with 2 kids.
Right.
He can't go to work because the kids are too young. There's one kid too young, and it's a challenge for him. He's got to make his money on the computer, and I'm trying to help him out. But I see him every month be like, dude, like what was 1,000 is now $250. That's all I can pay you. And I'm not cutting him off. I will never cut. If I can pay him, I will.
Right.
I feel a responsibility to his family. He knows this, and he doesn't mind me talking about it. But I feel a responsibility to his family, not just as a boss, but as his buddy. That guy spent years, actually literally like a year and a half writing for me for nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I wanted to reward him, so I started taking him to events. And he was working for Trigger Polls. And you know, I mean, how often does the random GunTube fan get to go out and rip a 100-round belt on an M60? Like, how often do you just get to do that? It's not, or go shoot an MP7 with as much ammo as you possibly could ask for. Like, you literally go to this place. You know, CMMG helped us out a little bit, and we went and we shot their MP7. And I was like, all right, cool, we can set it down. He's like, oh no, you can shoot, as we got like quite a few magazines loaded up, like 20 mags loaded. You want to just keep going?
That's awesome.
I'm like, I can? Okay. So I forgot where I was going with this. Shoot. I started getting talked about guns. Oh yeah. Long story short, like those are the types of folks that I've somehow collectivized and cultivated even. I hope they don't collectivize. That would be suboptimal for me. But anyways,
hey Tyler, we have a union. Yeah, we have a union.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So I feel a responsibility to him, and to answer your question, fortunately, no. But if we don't have another option soon, this channel will go away. I will not be able to afford the house that I live in anymore. If I was not successful, it's down to this point for me. If I was not successful this week, it would have been very, very difficult to continue to plan long term for this channel without seeking outside employment. It's not to say that the channel would die, because once again, the only way you lose is if you quit. So you got to stay in the fight somehow. And you can make the argument that when you're using up every single last bit of your resources to continue that fight, to stay in that fight, I don't have surplus income. And I'm not saying that anybody else does. And I'm not saying that it's not being used for proper and right shit. I'm going to make an example here, and I mean literally nothing by it. But Brandon, I'm sure, has a lot more freedom to do these types of things in the surplus income to cover a bold choice, a bold video, intentionally shooting a machine gun to get a strike or a demonetization. I can't do that yet until I have the numbers. And once again, I have to acknowledge this to myself. I might just suck now, and people literally just don't watch me anymore. But here's the thing: all my buddies noticed the same percentage of hit on their channel.
Right.
Well, again, like every I said at the beginning of the episode, man, Garantham's posting photos on Instagram of all the strikes he's just randomly getting now too. So it's not just you, man. He's getting struck
because of him. Because you're associated with Garantham. Bitch, I am Garantham, is what he's saying.
Yep.
Like, of course I know him.
Couldn't be more stupid. Oh, it is now. So it's now a crime for Garantham to be alive and exist, according to Instagram. I mean, tell me that is not some thought police Orwellian 1984 fucking bullshit, dude.
It is.
Like, I don't care what you believe. Imagine if that was your favorite influencer. Okay, granted, I get it. Guns are a really touchy and divisive subject. to prove that I'm willing to, like, practice what I preach here. If you don't like guns, you're still probably a pretty dope person. That's okay, right? I'll talk to you about why I do. You tell me why I don't.
Sure.
One of us will hopefully, not
Don't
like
try to
punch the other
control
in the
me.
face. Like, have that discussion, have that opinion, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, like, oh shit, I lost the train of thought again. This happens a lot. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, man.
I feel like I'm like this is the consequence of getting older. I take this like wandering path.
You need
I
Jake's
was just
brain
gonna bitch.
healthing.
Well, I'm just gonna jump on this with 2 feet
Sure,
though.
sure.
But this is one of the reasons that I usually say like libertarianism. It sounds really good on paper, and I would like to be libertarian about a lot of things. But the whole like just leave me alone over here and I'll leave you alone over there is really a lazy man's worldview, because like.
Yeah.
The people on the left are telling you every day they're coming, and perfect example, because we're talking about your channel. I'm coming after your livelihood. Because I don't think that you should be allowed to say the things and have the way of life that you do. And so I'm going to come and take it away. And so it's because of that it's like, you need to grow up and get a more pragmatic worldview, because like libertarianism just doesn't work. It's like, if you want your freedoms,
there are ideas
you've got to fight for it. You cannot put your government, you can't put your way of life on cruise control and just expect that somebody's not going to try and come along and take it away from you.
Sure. I mean, technically, I would consider that even more like bordering nihilism at that point.
Right.
Like, I don't care. Or I'm not willing to fight, or I'm not willing to stand up for. It doesn't have to be like, I can't even consider myself like, this might shock people, like a hardcore conservative. I like the conservative belief style. I feel like the reason I can't consider myself a hardcore conservative is there are a lot of us, like a lot of red folk, that are just as bad as the blue folk in understanding the opposing viewpoint and not wanting to talk about it. You're great to have your own opinion, but also, like, if you're stuck in the way and you're just not like, I'm standing on my rock, you go stand on over there.
Right.
That's the same as like the snowflake version of like, I don't want to talk about it. If you're forcefully separating opinions, you're doing the same fucking thing. Stop kidding yourself. Okay, pal? Okay. But at the end of the day, like, that's kind of what I'm looking for. That's why I don't consider myself like the hardcore conservative that people think that I would be, being the face of a gun channel.
Right.
I think that, I guess, not moderate, but I think I'm just more like on the right side, where I feel like I should be. Yeah. And common sense, like being able to see the other perspective and understand the other perspective, not just being able to like, oh yeah, because this is what I see a lot. Like, people will sit down and pretend to talk to you, but they're not talking to you. They're waiting their turn to speak. That's all they're doing.
It's not listening.
They're not interested in a debate. They're just waiting to counter whatever you're saying, or not counter. They're not even willing to counter or debate. They're just willing to say their next point and their next thing. It's
if
unfortunate.
I could jump on what you're about to say too, is one of the things that Chris and I have talked about on previous episodes is that there are so many people who are registered gun owners in this country, but they are not registered voters. And if you go and look at some of these swing states from the 2020 election, the number of people who are registered gun owners, and you could presumably think that these people are conservatives, if they were registered voter and voted in the way you'd think they would, then those swing states would have swung the other way. So let it be a lesson to you, Mr. I want to be left alone out here on my farm, or whatever it is. The way you're going to keep that farm is to get off your ass and go vote. Or whatever it is you're trying to say, leave me alone to do. That's it.
Stats from my state to back you up. There's over 300,000 registered gun owners in the state of Wisconsin that did not vote in the 2020 election. Wisconsin went blue by less than 20,000 votes.
Oh, there you go. I'll be very honest with you. I've been guilty of that exact thing. I've been standing on a political soapbox as of late, but I have admitted this in the past. So I'm
pulling him in.
I feel like I'm not trying to hide it or nothing.
Go vote, big dog.
I have had. What's that?
I said, go vote, big dog.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Like, I have been guilty of this in the past, and this is not a lifestyle choice that I continue to this day, but like right in that the beginning of the channel, when you're trying to find your identity and you're reading into what is it like in the guntuber world, it was all politics. That's all it was, and it was overwhelming, and it was oppressing for some young kid just out of the military to try to decipher and figure out, I thought I believed this, but do I really believe that? And you're trying to find your political identity. And at the time, because we get to live 24 hours a day this far in, with that thing so close to our face, our phones in front of our face, I was
life
being
filter.
force-fed two very hardcore belief systems that I didn't really know if I believed in at the time. So I chose to stay and remain very apolitical. As I have now grown older and understood the consequences of those actions and seeing my rights erode underneath me by people who have said that they were going to protect those rights in the past, and watching the faith that America has in its political structure erode and fall away. People become more and more disenfranchised and feel like they are not being represented. They're pushed farther to the outsides of those extremes because they're looking for a community to associate with. I think that I've found a good community here that's not going to take me on a radical path or a crazy path so that I become that closed off human being. I feel like I still have that place to be. The challenge is I have no place to talk about it, because even though I might say certain things or do certain things that might be considered just okay and cool and like blasé and whatever, it's because I'm associated with a gun channel. I can't say those things now. I can't, like, YouTube will not let me talk about them, even if I try to follow the rules, because they are more fucked than our VA claims. I mean, seriously, guys, they're like, it's ridiculous how much like of a minefield you have to walk in. They're essentially DC prostitutes, man. They're going to do anything a politician tells them to.
And let it be a lesson to people who think that when you abide by the rules, as they get more stringent and more stringent and more stringent, if you think that you're going to
pay them to,
if you think you're going to regain ground on the game of brinkmanship that's being waged against you, you're never going to. So appeasement is not a solution at all. And just remember, too, that inaction has consequences.
There was a documentary that I was watching one time, and they made a little animation as a visual metaphor for what you were talking about, right? And so it's like the idea that, you know, people on the left are very activist minded almost by definition, right? And they always vote in lockstep and they march in lockstep. And so it's like the visual metaphor was they had the cart and they're just pushing the cart left, and there's a giant group of them, right? Hundreds, and they're just pushing the cart left. And then finally, like, there's like 10 dudes on the right, and one dude, as the cart starts going over the line and starts eroding and representing that they're pushing your rights away, one dude on the right's like, oh, and he starts trying to push back against it, but he's all by himself. And then another dude comes over, and then another dude comes over, and eventually there's like 50 people on the right, and they're pushing just long enough for the cart to stop moving. And then they go, oh, and they go like this, and then the people on the right walk away, and they leave the one dude there by himself again, and then the left just starts pushing the cart again. And I was like,
weather.
Right, and I was like, that was a very powerful, because that is people on the right that are generally, I just want to be left alone. But again, I go back to, you don't have the luxury of putting your government on cruise control. That's not the way government works. And you've got to put your hand on the steering wheel.
After you're done, Tyler, I got a quote I want to read, but go ahead.
Go nuts. I can keep it in my head.
Oh, and I was just going to say, to your point, Chris, the Thomas Paine quote from The American Crisis. These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country, but he that stands by it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. Sunshine patriot.
I'm not even going to try to top that, dude. That's a great like buttressing point right there. You can't beat that.
I mean, it's Thomas Paine.
You can't beat that.
I mean, yeah, but no, it's what you're saying, man. It's the time when it's convenient, I'm going to push the cart back online. But the second I think that I've won or it's over, right?
Take your foot off the gas, right?
You have to persist. Yeah.
The most powerful part of it, though, is that they never did move the cart back left. They just stopped it from moving for a second, and then it still just continues to march to the left, right? And so
my ultimate point here, when we're talking about the some of the extreme or conservative beliefs of just wanting to be left alone, or the libertarian ideal of not just kind of riding like, I want my liberties, but whatever. What ends up happening here is, as I've gotten older, right, I've become more aware of my political surroundings. I was never the college kid, right? I never had that political belief forced onto me. Us military guys in the GWAT era, that started off under George W. Like, it was just kind of smooth sailing for a little while. Like, it wasn't a political army, it wasn't a political military at the time. I don't know what it was, what it's like for the folks in now. I'm sure it's significantly different, especially post and so during COVID. So I feel like I got very, very lucky in that regard. I wasn't indoctrinated with a conservative or liberal belief. I was just kind of left to form my own opinions. Now, while I think that kind of hindered me a little bit because I was never tested. I never had to debate anybody. It was the military. You do what they fucking say. You don't get to sit there and talk about it. Otherwise you get wall-to-wall counseling. That doesn't go well for you normally.
And it's the common I don't care who gets elected president because I'm just going to do my job anyway thing. Yeah. Right?
Sure. Yeah. It's not going to affect me. Head in the sand. I don't see the problem. It doesn't see me. And my political upbringing was a little stunted. I'm fortunate now to kind of be forced into a more active role based off of the community that I'm associated with. I feel a responsibility to them to fight for that. I have a voice now that actually matters. I've used excuses in the past saying, oh, I'm too small, I'll let the big guys do it. There are I've said this exact line. There are other voices out there more effective than mine. And fortunately for me now, the community has been very, very good to me. That is no longer an excuse. I think I can be authorized to use. We have a voice that means something now to a greater group and a greater community of people.
Hell yeah.
That can be added to a voice, another set of voices saying the exact same thing, so we can be just a little bit louder. Right. And the next person who has that voice, and the next person who has that voice. And if I didn't think like that in the beginning, I could have been a little tiny voice added to a bunch of other little tiny voices that made a big fucking voice.
Well, to speak about it in terms of the Bible, right, in the Gospels, it says, like, no man lights a lamp to put it under a bowl, but rather he lights it and he puts it in a prominent place so that it shines light to the whole house. And in so doing, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven, which is basically a biblical way of, like, we're supposed to be salt, we're supposed to be light, to use Christianese. But no, you're absolutely right. And Brandon and I have said it on this channel, and the first time I was like, oh, that's kind of cringe, and I don't know if I like that, because I don't want to put myself on the level of these men that I greatly respect. But the more that I think about it, the more, like, it rings true, and that is, like, we are the neo founding fathers. And it's not because we're brilliant, and it's not because we're learned men or we're among the very wise. Yeah. It's because nobody else was saying something, and so it fell to me. If you're not right, and so it's like, nobody else is going to fight for my freedoms, my liberty, so it falls to me. And I count it as, like, I can't look my sons in the eye after some of the stuff that I've been through. And one of the reasons that I'm doing this stuff online is because I also kind of see this as me laying down a video diary, so that one of these days my boys will pick it back up and be like,
therapy too.
I want to. There's a therapy aspect to it for sure.
Very cathartic.
But I want them to be able to pick it up and look back and be like, oh, through the summer of love and through the COVID thing and through all these tumultuous times, it's like, what was Dad doing? And it's like, well, here it is. You can see I picked up the apparatus and I started moving it forward. Nobody else was doing it.
To stick with your Christian thing. Oh, go ahead, Tyler.
I was just gonna say I do something similar for a different reason. Mine's a little bit more selfish, but every week that I've existed on the internet and that my daughter has existed in this world, I actually have video of her every single week of her entire life. So that was it. Just reminded me of that. She comes on the show every Saturday night, and we just say goodnight. She gives me a smooch, and then
I remember
goes
you
off
did that
bed.
last time. That was awesome.
But yep. So they're actually not in the house right now. They're out up at the lake enjoying some much needed time off cool. from this roller coaster ride that has been my choice to continue the fight with YouTube. If I could go into a direction here and kind of explain my actions, I want to elaborate on this to the folks that might be listening from whoever organization, whatever organization, the fans, potential sponsors of this show. This is a content creator's life and perspective. We live in a world that is defined by the ups and downs of a roller coaster. I mean, it is just a literal roller coaster ride when you're at this level. When you've made the commitment to go and commit full time. Maybe it was a dumb choice, but you know what? I took the chance anyways. And it's been a great ride. The highs are really, really high. They're awesome, but the lows are also really, really low. And it's been a low point in my family.
Can't appreciate the highs without the lows, bro. It goes back to that marketplace of ideas.
Exactly. Well, it's been a really, to be blunt and brutally honest, it's been 8, 9, 10 weeks, 11, actually probably coming up 4 months now of just a repeated every month,
kicking
just
the balls.
Worse and worse and worse. And I'm like, it's like that scene where you're on your knees and you're in the big fight and you're trying to get back. I'm not trying to look like the hero or anything, but I keep getting back up and I keep getting punched right back in the face by the big organization that's YouTube. And I keep getting back up and I keep getting punched in the face, and I've got the bloody nose and the black eye, and I'm struck. you know, trying to do the whole,
no
exactly. I didn't hear no bell. Yeah, you were Randy. Well, I mean, that's what it's like, dude. And she has fought on these front lines harder than anybody, harder than I have, because she's had to put up with it to the nth degree from both ends. She has to listen to me do this all day long, and then she has to listen to me do this when the camera's not off because I'm venting and frustrated. I get hot, I get fired up, man. I get fired up when I talk about this shit. I have a passion about it now.
Hell yeah.
And I have a voice that I'm excited now to use a little bit more in this regard. But even the last time I talked to you guys, I wasn't ready yet to dive head 1st into exploring the future of the political space for me. And since then, I'm now very, very proud to say that I get to support and publicly say that I can support my guy Caleb Steffenhagen up here for Chaska and Chanhassen, Minnesota, running against the incumbent, trying to swing Chaska and Chanhassen. I went out shooting with my guy. We sat down. We talked about this exact issue with YouTube. And I said, you know what, man? What are your aspirations in government? And he's like, dude, I don't want to stop at state house. I want to go to Senate. I want to go all the way up, dude. I want to be president. And I said, if you were in charge of this all, man, what would you do? And he gave me a very satisfactory answer in the sense that I believe that there is and this is maybe not hubris, but naivety, I guess, in my opinion. But I do see somebody who has potential in him, and maybe that is, you know, the classic slick politician thing, but he does seem like a good guy. And I hope that there's a future there with conservative politicians coming up like him. I hope that that's the future of our political party. People who understand the challenges of the modern society, of the modern day. I feel like every time that happens, as of recent, especially for the gun community, and this is where I might divide some of the red team red that's watching, but like Dan Crenshaw was billed to be this gun paragon, Navy SEAL, blah blah blah, and then he just goes and stabs everybody in the back.
Yeah, he did.
You know, so that's exactly. So from our perspective, that was supposed to be the paragon that the conservative party served up to the gun community to say, you know what, we're going to have a guy to represent your rights. And he's a Navy SEAL and he's a gun guy. And every fucking gun guy that I've seen as a politician doesn't know anything about guns. They maybe know how to pull a trigger point and follow, you know, the basic safety laws if we're lucky, or basic safety rules if we're lucky. But they're not gun guys. I mean, obviously we got real close with Brandon, but you know.
I know.
God,
well, dude, and I was just going to say, man, going to the range really cuts into your insider trading time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
I do want to say too, Tyler, like I'm super proud that we got tied in together, and I'm really happy to be up under this apparatus with you. And as far as like, I've been a fan of your channel for a long time, and anything that we can do, like moving forward, like I said, getting you moved over there and getting your viewers moved over there, man, I'm proud to, like, I like how dudes like us can get hooked up together, and then as far as we're concerned, a rising tide raises all boats. There's enough space here for us all to win. So funny.
I'm going to say something just for my guys. I have to say something just for my guys. Hey, all boats rise with the floating tide, right?
Right.
No tide boats rise all this is a joke in our we have a guy who gets really drunk and tries to say proverbs, and he'll say like, all boats no tides rise. Yep. Yeah.
That reminded me when I was over in Syria, we used to crack up at seeing like some of the shirts that they would wear around, because they would have, you remember this, like, because you were in Afghanistan, right?
All the time,
and it would have like English written on them, but you could tell it was like, was that a runoff, like, you know, it's like, or it would be like the shirts of like the wrong Super Bowl, like the guys who lost.
I was just gonna say, dude, I saw so many of those in Africa, dude. It's like that's where they sent all the shit, the rejects.
I saw one time, and we sat around and talked about this for days because we were trying to figure out and decipher what this kid's shirt said. He was one of our turfs, but he said, "The adventure is everyday weekend." And we would go round and round about that. We were like,
it's one of those things like where if you just caught it in glancing, you'd be like, yeah, oh, wait, what?
Yeah,
but dude, it's like if you've ever lived in Japan,
wait, huh?
They try to do a bunch
English.
English.
It's called English. Yeah,
it is, and they make a bunch of like T-shirts.
I'm sure
and
that's
shit
appropriating
with, like, broken
some
English.
kind of culture.
It's okay, and it's like that. That's the kind of shit you'll see on a sweatshirt at a Japanese store. You're like, that doesn't make sense, but it is English.
Sorry. That's speaking of Trey and Matt.
Dude, that's just the Chinese restaurant, the Japanese restaurant.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I have raw shitty walk. You break down my shitty wall, shoot Mongolians. Oh, it's the best. I love it. Thank you, Trey and Matt. I love you guys.
Dude,
Man,
that one episode where he calls him, he's like, "This is a shitty walk. Can I take your order, pre?" And he's like, "Oh no, I was calling to get a plane ticket."
Yeah, the plane ticket one. Yeah.
He goes, "This is
hold on. Hello, City Airline.
This is a shitty airline. Can I help you take your order, pre?"
Yep. Hello, can I take your order, please?
What the fuck you need, big? Kermit for
What the fuck you go Dubai?
Like some
boy,
booty. What the fuck you
you,
big boy?
Yes!
Fuck your order.
Yes!
You call me, make the
I
big
need to
order
speak
for the
to
pick up.
somebody
The
who can speak
somebody.
Chinese.
The speak at honey.
Oh, dude, that's so
the
good.
sack noodle.
Oh, you suck me, big boy.
The fuck you,
You
big.
can do it so better.
Dude.
he's on fire.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
You expect the
Dude, I'm not
Vietnamese?
going to be able to contain myself right now. Holy shit.
Who the fuck was that? I don't even remember who the hell that was now, dude.
That was fuck you, big boy.
Fuck
Yeah,
boy,
it was
fuck you,
yeah.
big boy.
If you just type in "fuck you, big boy" in the, I bet you find it. But oh god, I got so many more YouTube jokes lined up.
The one that cracked me up is like we were walking around, Bangkok, like me and my boys are, and it's like, "Hey,
Sure.
Special Forces Ranger, take care of you," and you're like, "Oh, get away from me,
Ownage
boy."
pranks.
Yeah, Ownage, that's what it was. Ownage pranks. So this is I mean, you can put this in if you want to, but this is what I'm trying to work with here. I got some of my writers feeding me jokes. I've already used 2 of them. Your rules are more fucked than your VA claim.
That was a good
That
one.
was
yeah.
one of them. YouTube is basically a DC prostitute. They'll do anything a politician pays them to.
Yeah.
So scared of the antitrust action, they always listen to the moms. What's this one? This is what happens when Californians decide to be butch lesbians.
Damn.
Oh my god.
So do you guys like when you do your writer stuff, do you all just kind of sit around, crack beers, and then just like?
Nah, it used to be that way. I've gotten to trust these guys very well. The biggest challenge for the writers is getting their words into my voice.
Yeah. Okay.
And it used to take, it used to take a long time. Now these guys are so used to it that I trust them. There's a little bit of variation. Back when we had the written scripts, there was a bit of variation between the 2 styles of writing.
Yeah.
I would always say if you laughed at something because it was clever, it was my writer Steve. If you laughed at something because you were like, oh, like the CEO joke, that would have been Cushion.
Wait, you definitely have one dude that I can tell he's got the like Family Guy simile thing down to
That
a
would be Cush,
science, and it's just
So
like you can
Cush-
always hear the callback, and I'm like, okay, I can tell. I started to be able to like tell like, okay, that's one of the writers, and then that like that's
Yes.
another one, yeah.
So Cush is, and this part can all go in. We talk about this all the time. This isn't like industry secret stuff. You don't have to worry about cutting this if you want to put it in. But Cush is he used to be the writer of the show, or one of the writers of the show, and now that since we kind of moved off the script, we've been able to free him up into the much more valuable role of editor. So in the last about 7 videos, you guys have probably noticed that with the green screen, the memes have kind of changed, and they're more prevalent and cool and more interactive.
Yeah.
And that's because he's now I haven't fully unclipped it yet because he will go places I won't even go. He's got a very dark sense of humor, so I haven't fully unleashed him. But I've said, dude,
I have to put the leash on.
Let's go.
Sometimes,
like, let's
especially when I start doing the medic jokes, because then I have to like remember. I'm like, ooh, a lot of people can't laugh as dark as the medics can. That's like Hannah will look at me sometimes. It's my wife, and she'll just be like, "That's a medic joke." You
Dude, cops and EMPs, man. Like we get each other, medics, whatever. Yeah, no doubt.
I was remind me that I have a joke for you guys when we like clip in the episode.
So we don't need to. So we don't need to clip more stuff.
Cannot go on.
Hey, could I change the topic a little bit and
please.
feed you guys something? So first of all, here I'll give you a good break in. All right. So could you guys give me a little bit of time to ask you a couple of questions, or actually not even questions, just tell you a little bit about something I was doing with the intention of helping your channel out?
Please.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Awesome.
Thank
Well,
you.
if you guys, I think I called you a couple of times, Chris, this weekend, but I was out in Knoxville at the Goals Convention, the Gun Owners of America Leadership Summit, hosted by Gun Owners of America and my buddies over at Brownells. I love you, Caleb.
Shout out.
Watch this. My big boy, Caleb. He's he you might know him if you're familiar with the gun industry. He won the Gundy, the award last year for most dapper content creator. He's a good looking son of a gun. But anyways, I was just out there hanging out with my boys, listening to the future of the gun industry, like Mr. Brandon Herrera, and some other people that have political and very, very close knit to political aspirations. Like I said, the driving force is the future of this industry. And we got to sit down and talk with over 600 other companies that were there this last weekend. And I ran across a company that I just like, it just clicked. I was like, how have I not thought of this before? This gels perfectly with you guys. They'd be a fantastic sponsor in the future or now, especially with the success you guys are having on Rumble, that you can pitch these numbers to these guys, and I bet you they would eat it up in a heartbeat. Plus, it's run by, I don't know if it's run by or associated by, but Roy Hill, who is an absolute legend. And when I say legend, I am not speaking lightly. This is a no bullshit use of the term. He is an absolute legend in the 2A community. He's not an SF guy or a pipe hitter or anything crazy like that. He's just an old dude that loves guns, and he's super duper passionate about it, and we love him to death. Every single person, he's probably shaking his head as he's listening to this like, fuck you, I'm not that old. But he is. He's the best. He's the nicest guy. He's the salt of the earth. He's the perfect representation of everything about what it means to be a solid and valuable member of this community. We adore Roy, and that is not me just blowing smoke up his ass. That is how I feel, and that is how most of this community feels around him. So I really want to introduce him to you. I've asked him to check out the show and check out the podcast. I gave him the pitch on what you guys do, and his company, but the what's the word I'm looking for?
Probably nonprofit.
Yes, nonprofit. Thank you. I believe is Special Operations Wounded Warriors.
Yes.
So he is very closely tied to and associated with them, and I am trying to put the two of you guys in touch. I will have a direct contact link for you here at the end of the show for Roy. But he is. I'll shoot him a message and say to expect. I don't know. Maybe we're not at the point of reaching out to him yet, but I want him to check out the show. I'll keep in his ear about it.
Hell yeah!
And hopefully he reaches out to you guys. Yep. Yeah, he's a real good dude. It's obviously a real good cause. He was telling me about like all of the crazy and wild stuff they do. Is, you know, he made a great line. He's like, yeah, we got to go spear hunting pigs. You can't use guns anymore because that's how these guys get adrenaline rushes. Like, I was like, I guess that. I mean, I used to work with these dudes. Like, that is probably true. Like, as they get out. Right, you know, or you know, they're out, and
well, it's because every Green Beret has to every Green Beret has to recreate that scene from Rambo, dude.
Exactly,
everybody's got to try it at least once.
Duh, like it makes total sense now. But he's at the front of a very, very outstanding organization that I believe in, that I want to support, and that I want to make public. He does not pay me to say this at all. I am not the only association that I have with Special Operations Wounded Warriors. I am not a member of it. I am not associated with it anyway. I just love this guy. I will follow him to the end of the earth, and whatever he does, I will be there to support it. And you were talking a little earlier about how loyal this community is. This is proof positive of what that is. Where half of this episode has been Chris and Brandon talking about how they're taking care of other content creators, or myself and this, and I've been talking about how we're trying to take care of him and this company, and we're trying to help this out. It's all that big triangle. The fans are helping us, we're helping the sponsors, and the fans, and then the sponsors are giving the guns and doing this. Like, everybody's helping each other in more ways than one. It's a super loyal and tight-knit community that wherever you are, alternative content platform, you want us there. Give us opportunity.
That's it, dude. 100%. You do want us.
I'm really glad that you pointed that out, because I think a lot of people assume that because it's like we put out this like professional looking product and we're all doing this like YouTube content creator thing, that there's
sorry for wrecking it.
that we all like that
Ralph.
That checks and contracts and stuff are flowing behind the scenes, and it's like that's not the way it is. Like,
this is buddy talk.
Yeah, it's like I think I reached out to you at some point on like Instagram or something. I want to say, and then we just, you know, hey man, fan of your channel, been doing that for a long time. And then it's like, oh yeah, hey, do you want to like do an episode together? Absolutely, let's do it. And then by now, you know, like these months later, now it's just like, hey, I got a guy that I want to introduce you to. Why am I doing it?
We just gelled immediately.
Right. Yeah. Why am I doing it?
So
because we believe in the same thing, and
yeah, dude.
We've become friends, and like that's how the networking for the bulk of this stuff happens. It's just
the military community is very significant, or very significantly kind of like, I don't want to say a good old boy club, but it's like you have that friend where if you're meeting and talking to a person that you don't know and they say, yeah, I was hanging out with my buddy John, and you're like, That John? Oh,
Right.
don't tell me anything more. I know everything I need to know about you. You're cool.
It's
Exactly.
a vetting system
That's
almost.
how this community is. So if you know my guy, like, look, I'll use an example. My buddy Yehuda, the Pew Pew Jew. I know everything about you. We can be friends. He is the one of the most hilariously, insanely awesome and genuinely lovely persons I've ever met in my entire life. And I know if he likes you, then I don't need to vet or check you at all.
But just
Trust
as good as that can be, and you can be in with somebody.
Yep.
I know where you're going with
thing
this.
about them, it can be equally as terrible.
Destructive.
Case in
Yeah.
point, Tim Walz. So one person comes out and is like, fuck
Dude,
that guy. And then
yes.
the entire community is like, oh, and you hear one thing, it's like, that coward committed stolen valor. Fuck that guy. And
Right.
you'll see the whole community flip like that too to the other side. And so you effed up, Tim. Just say it.
Yeah,
Big
that's
time,
a home state guy for me.
I know.
Man, I get asked so many questions. It's just constant. It's been constant, especially out at Knoxville. It's like, so what do you think of your guy, Tim? I was like, don't you lump me in with that fucking Martian. Get the hell out of here.
Martian.
Get the hell out of
The
here. That was
Minnesota.
a great.
Is it going to call him that? The Minnesota Martian from now on?
Oh, that's
Should
actually
it?
kind of funny.
It is.
I
What is
just call him
terrifying
the cum
though?
guzzler.
Right.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh, hold on. No. Hold on. Okay, we're gonna have to get ready for the clip. Wait for it. I've got a great one. I have one in
please.
here. Where is it? Okay.
Do you know how to share
What
your
were we just
screen?
talking about? Yes. Okay. Here it is. This was another YouTube joke. But we could say this. Unironically, it says unironically YouTube, but we could say Tim Walz. Unironically, Tim Walz is a big fan of Glock. But only the horse semen department.
I knew that was coming, dude. I was like, he's gonna make a Glock joke, bro.
Right.
He must have been so sad when Gaston died.
Woof. So
Woof.
I don't know if we were talking about the connections that you make and how valuable they can be and how usually very quickly
What a hard
friendships are
pivot.
made. Yeah, I'm sorry, but it just popped into my head. Yeah, there's no like behind the scenes like handshake deals or money exchanging hands. This is more like I see value in you as a friend, sure, but I see value in you for the business as well. I seek the contacts that you have.
Right.
It's a networking thing. Knowledge is more valuable than cash, man. Knowledge is so like you would have told me that 5-10 years ago, I would have punched you in the fucking face and said, give me my $100. Or if you said withhold that $100 and start listening and take that $100 of time and build friendships and business connections. Holy smokes, dude, I'd be a bazillionaire at this point. Unfortunately, I got to that. I learned that lesson a little bit late, but this is a consequence of those connections and that the serendipity, the God watching over you thing, whatever you end up believing. I would have never normally, Chris, picked up that phone, dude. Never. There was something that pushed me to pick up the phone. I don't answer the phone. My wife has called 3 times. My wife has called me 3 times, and I have not picked up the phone.
I would have texted
told
you
me
about it
pick
as well.
up the phone. But still, like
there
is a bit of serendipity or divine intervention, if you will, if that's your belief. I'm not a terribly religious person. I kind of that's one place that I'm still trying to find my way a bit on. I have my beliefs, and I know what I know, but you know, that's I kind of like to speak from an agnostic perspective, I suppose, on that. Regardless of that, like there's something that drove me there. It's something that pushed me to pick up the phone. I genuinely believe that, especially if this pans out and all the numbers are true and the opportunity is there for a long-term shot at success. I mean, holy smokes, dude, that could be a literal like
we're gonna keep pushing, man, and we're gonna speak it into existence. You know what I'm saying? But a little bit behind the curtains here, Brandon and I say it all the time that it's a God thing that we became friends, because it was one of those things where I listened to his podcast because a mutual friend of ours was like, "Oh, dude, if you like what this guy's doing, have you checked out my buddy Brandon?" And so I did, and then
that's the word of mouth that happened,
right? And then c'est la vie, like here we are, and he's become one of my closest friends, and like we're up under this thing together, like we're
Yep.
I mean, you don't know exactly. You don't know what that next phone call is going to be, or you don't know who you're going to get introduced to next. The people who are the good people in this industry, regardless, like I have my own ambitions, but there are, and I will be willing as a business owner to do a lot to achieve those ambitions, but I have my morals and I have my limits. I'm not going to step over
Morals
and
are huge,
burn
man.
valuable bridges
Right.
with friends in order to make a buck. And you can quote me on that. What I am willing to do is feed information and make connections and do as much as I can to help that other person succeed on their own, because let's be honest too, we have to distill out the people that weren't meant to succeed. There's an believe it or, if you believe in evolution or not, there's an evolution of the I guess you could call it a distillation of value inside of the content creators. The funnel is very, very wide. It's not a barrier to entry to get into as a content creator, and then people realize that they like where they're at and they don't want to grow anymore. Some people don't have the ambition to grow anymore, but some people do. And it gets a little harder and there's a new set of challenges, and then they figure all those challenges out and then they distill it down, because some people fall out and some people quit.
You're
and
right.
The next group, it's Q course, dude. It's the Q course. It just weeds
and
you down.
What's rule number 1 of the Q course? I have people ask me all the time, dude. I'm getting ready for selection, and I go, okay, cool. Be physically fit and don't be a dick.
Yep.
That's the
exactly.
that's the number 1 rule to be in special operations. If I've heard this vetting process once, I've heard it 1,000 times. Hey, we got a new guy in the company. Okay, cool. Is he a good dude? And that's like the first. Is he a good dude?
Okay.
From somebody that's worked with him before. Oh yeah, man. Like, he was awesome. I was with him over here in this. Okay, cool. Like, you're in, right? If they're like, no, he's a dick. That dude stabs
that reputation.
people.
Yep.
If that dude, it's like, no, that dude stabbed the guy in the back. He's a Blue Falcon. Then it's like instantly. I've watched team sergeants get up, leave, go down the room, and then be like, hey, we don't want him. Don't send him here. Because I trust so and so's opinion, and he said he's a Blue Falcon.
Yeah,
so
the stakes are a little higher for you boys.
Yeah.
You making the joke about unconventional warfare.
I'm sure it's like that for you though too, Brandon. Like, working in the cops. Like, if you get a new guy in your flight or something.
I mean, yeah, dude, that's the first thing that anybody asks questions about is like, oh, where's he coming from? Oh, I know somebody from that. I know somebody from fucking McConnell or whatever the hell it is. And that's it. And with you guys,
I feel like
Chris,
it's ubiquitous to pretty much any military unit too.
It is, but you guys can be more selective. Whereas security forces, like, that guy's showing up no matter what. No one's gonna get on the fucking horn unless it's like maybe if you're like a chief or something like that, or a fucking field grade officer. If you got the swing, maybe. Yeah. Then they'll make phone calls and move people around. But like, for the most part, it is what it is. It's just your reputation is going to precede you, and that's the bottom line.
Sweet.
Yeah, man. No, dude, I honestly think this is a great conversation, and I hope that, like you said, the mutual benefit here is going to be outstanding, and I think it will. And we're going to put you in touch with the same people that we had.
I'm very excited, man.
That networking piece put us in touch with, and hats off to Chris for being the networker between us, because that's just not me.
It's all good, dude.
Yeah, dude, and that's one of those places where Chris picks up where I leave off, But
that's honestly the team, like, having the team element to this. We've always kind of been known for that. I've always wanted to take. Now, this is going to sound egotistical and arrogant, but once again, like, it's my brand that I built. I built it on the backs of a lot of people who helped. A lot of people who don't get enough credit for helping, especially at the beginning when there was there was all there was a promise, and then my ambition. They had to look at me, and they had to believe that I had the ambition to get everybody there, and they did.
And I was just going to say man. Like, I think that what Chris and I are doing is going to be successful. But if at some point in my life I look back and this is successful, I am going to always look back on who I did this with for a year before Chris, Zach, my buddy Zach, the security forces guy, and be like, you know what? I'm thankful that I had that year with him, because it's what pushed the show along, and it's what led me to do this with Chris, So it's everybody that you built it with that you're thankful for at the same time, man. Yeah, absolutely. There's always those people.
And then one final thing too, here on this channel, we don't believe in gatekeepers. I absolutely hate gatekeepers they'll achieve something. And
like my Lucas video?
I've seen, yeah, I did. I was actually going to text you about that. But
hi, Lucas.
I have a lot of, I've run into a lot of cadre that are like that. F you, I got mine. And then they pull the rope up behind them, and I just don't believe in that, man. I think when I talk about meritocracy, and you were talking about it earlier, it's like, I just need the opportunity. Let me fail or succeed on my own merits. Just get me in the room, right? Yeah. And so I 100% could not agree with you more. Anybody that achieves something and then turns around and closes the gate on others, I think you're the worst type of human scum. Like, I got my success, and now F everybody else that's trying to succeed in something. And to a large extent, circling back around to, because Brandon and I do almost not exclusively, but we talk a lot of politics because 1A and First Amendment is like our baby that we fight for. And you see that in the government all the time. Brandon and I are at the level now that we're talking to a lot of people that are trying to get into the political realm, and they're knocking on that door. And I will tell you, it is one of the most cutthroat. Like we were on the phone with some people. I won't go too deep into this, but we were on the phone with some people a few weeks ago that were trying to get us, plugged in with some of the Trump campaign individuals.
Okay,
and
wow.
already at that level, I mean, this is a dude that knows a dude that knows a dude that, has access to money and campaign funds. Already at that small outer ring level, like the chicanery just immediately came out, and it
Literally
was
immediately.
and it was just that fast. And Brandon and I sat down and we had the conversation, where do we want this channel to go? And ultimately where we wound up is like, look, I don't necessarily want to be in politics. I don't want to be the puppet at the end of the strings, beholden to donors and beholden to, like, I want to be able to say whatever it is that I want to say, and I want to actually have an influence on policy and an influence on culture. I want to be able to call a guy a retard when he's being retarded, and then I want to be able to turn around and praise a guy if he's doing good. I think that politicians are tools. They're really, politicians are like toilet paper.
Want to be?
Soil them and then throw it away and then get a new one and move on if they're not working the way that you think that they should work, right? And so,
I mean, it sounds to me you want to be what you want to be is Rogan or Sean Ryan.
I mean,
with the Sean Ryan show, you have the influence.
The way that we describe it is, I want to be able to pick up my phone and, like, Congress people, governors, and people in the federal government are answering my texts and pick up the phone when I call, because
you have a voice
they're
that matters.
afraid of what I'm going to say when I go on the camera, and that's what keeps them right. That's what keeps them representing the way that they said that they were going to represent, and voting the way that they said that they were going to vote.
The way it was supposed to be.
Exactly. And so it's like, and then to jump on another point that you made about money or affluence, like, money doesn't necessarily buy you that type of power, because once the checks run out, then that's all that you had with them. Look at the way that the United States has treated any foreign force that we work with ever. But when you have true affluence and you have the loyalty of people, you can't purchase that, because it's built on reputation.
Right.
This is going to be super cheesy, but that is the value of internet influencers right now. They are the new loyal market. They're the new, what was the loyalty thing? You have your sports teams, you have your car brands, you have that, but you have your influencers now too. It's a new thing. Especially to be like an older influencer at this point. It's kind of gnarly to see how much people put them on pedestals.
There's camps
and
now.
how much power.
Yeah.
Big
What's
camps. I said I would call it like there's camps now.
Yeah, definitely.
Basically.
Definitely. Like you got team this, team that, in the gun tube industry, there's Team Tundra, and there's people who don't like Team Tundra. And that's cool. That's cool that there's a team with me
Tacoma,
on it. Like,
that's okay,
somebody's wearing my jersey.
I think it's hilarious too how people will go to the mat to, like, defend somebody that they've never met and they don't know at all. But it's like, because it's like their brand, they will, like, live or die on whether, it's like, you can't say a bad thing about that, bro. How dare you?
I have benefited from that in the past. Can I tell you though? Can I tell you a really, like, wholesome story as to how I've benefited from that in the past?
Yeah.
Now this is obviously, like, every content creator out there that's about to hear me say this is going to cringe into oblivion, because they're like, oh dude, this is a fucking danger. Like, you are inviting something bad to happen to you. And I know this, and I take my precautions here. I'm not just giving out my own personal information to everybody to come hang out and have a grand old time. But especially locally, when you start to make an impact in a community, people are like, oh, he's from Minnesota, and you end up kind of just finding people around you, or you get recognized, and be like, hey, how you doing? And you say, hey, take a picture, and then you get recognized again. It's the same person. Next time, maybe exchange phone numbers, and then you vet them out, and they're like, okay, decent person. You go out to have dinner, and you become soft friends. Well, that community and that loyalty has put me into a position where I benefited from it one time that really helped me out when I was a new dad. And that happened on two occasions. Both I had, when we talk about self-defense in the firearms community, we talk about, your own personal approach to being prepared and training and all this. But we very, very rarely ever coach people or have classes on, like, in a true no bullshit emergency. How do you keep everyone in your tribe safe? How do you keep everybody around you safe? This is something that we learned, that I learned working with operators like Chris in my time. And the Air Force didn't teach me. Well, I mean, they did a little bit, but these guys watching the true pros get to work and understand what it's like to work as a team in a high stress environment, in a life or death situation. I took that to heart, and I took that to my self-defense and training mindset. How do I establish myself as a team? Well, when you have a 1-year-old daughter who was born premature at 2 pounds 11 ounces, you are not a mobile individual. Okay, everything around you moves very slowly. Well, right about this time, the Minneapolis riots kick off. And so I am full commit, shelter in place. We are not going anywhere unless it's an absolute emergency. And because of my small network of people that I've met through this, I was introduced to a gentleman by the name of Todd Fossey. Todd is a very well-connected individual in the police and special operators community up here in Minnesota. And I had like 4 Rangers put together as like a little mini QRF team for me that was just done on a favor just in case.
Holy shit.
Shit got a little too spicy. Those guys were about 15 minutes away from
That's
me.
how we
Rangers
do.
all the way. Let's go, baby.
That's how we do,
I love
baby.
you guys.
Rangers lead the way, guys.
And I love my guys. It feels like, Tonto's out there watching over me or something. There's a joke.
Dude, that's fucking amazing, man.
It was really, really good. And then another time, this is significantly less dire, but still very important to me. My wife got hit by a semi-truck in the middle of winter coming off of an on-ramp, and I had my daughter. And we are a 1-car family. I could not go get her, and I had a fan of mine step up. His name's Tony. He came through big. Tony, if you ever watch this, I'll never forget it, man. And he got Meg out, or helped. By the time he got there, fortunately, there was a police officer on scene, but he was willing to go that route and make that sacrifice. Go out into a dangerous situation because it was in the middle of a whiteout blizzard. My wife literally just got hit, but she spun on the road and they collided face to face. Where's my camera? Like this.
Wow.
So that's what actually saved her. It didn't T-bone her. The impact force was very, very mitigated. Crunched up the car, totaled it, and she's calling me in tears, and I was like, I can't, like, I can run to you, but I have the baby and it's the middle of winter in a blizzard. Like, what do I do? And so the only thing I could think of was to put a message out, who can help me? And I had more than just Tony step up, but Tony I actually knew. I trusted him with my family's information, and he offered to go out and help. So while that is, there's 2 sides of the coin, and that is the power. And once again, here's another bit of proof for that loyalty. Guess how many subscribers I had at that time?
500.
8,000. Yeah, it was a smaller channel. It was big enough, but it was like a smaller channel still. It wasn't, we're not talking about this massively wide network of Brandon Herrera 1 million subscriber, 10 million, 5 million subscriber numbers, or even 100,000 or 50,000. We're talking 8,000, and you're already on your way to building up a network like that for yourself.
But that's
and
the loyalty that I was talking about to this, to these communities that we build.
If I could just make a point.
We feel loyalty to them. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just going to make a point on what you said before about you had people that were ginned up essentially to act as a QRF on your behalf if you needed it. That's what we call regulated militia, guys.
Yep. It's like you take what you learn while you're in, you apply it.
Regulated. Thank you, Chris.
Well, and trust me, these guys were I can tell you, we had our own we had our own intel network, everything. We had a lot of stuff at our disposal that the average person didn't have because of the connections that our buddy
piece.
Todd. So Todd was getting full on police briefs straight from the source. We knew exactly what was going on, or the best information that we could get. We got. Even the bad information that we were getting at the time was put through a pretty decent, military, like, I've been through this before, no bullshit filter. That's not what's happening. That's not what's happening. This is what's happening type of deal. Like, people have literally been like, yeah, I've seen this exact thing. Now, we handled it a little differently because we could shoot at them, but I've seen this exact thing.
I still can't believe going back and seeing the information that's coming out now about what was going on there in Minneapolis, and then because Tim Walz is now on the the national scale, like it's all
no one's talking about that
all
shit, are they?
coming out, you know, the fact that like
I don't
he's
think it's coming out fast enough though.
I don't think so
like,
either.
no one's talking about it.
We're
So, like, I'm not hearing this.
We're 100% on the did you see that picture that came out with him wearing a First Special Forces Group hat at a ball game? I texted a buddy of mine because I'm totally on the first of all, I'm really excited that they chose this guy and that they booted out Joe Biden and installed Kamala Harris. Because I told everybody,
that's what everybody saw happening from the get-go.
Well, right, but everybody was like, "Oh, now the race is going to get really tight," and everybody got angry. And I was like, "Guys, now we have the ability to kick 3 communists out of presidential politics all at once. Like they're lining up. Like the targets are lining up. This is actually really great. Like we need to be disciplined." But I texted a buddy of mine and I was like, "All right, here's what we're going to do." And we put together our, you know, kind of not talking points, but we put together our strategy of like how we were going to go about doing this. And I'm like, when we are done with this guy and we get rid of him, I'm going to go buy that camo First Special Forces Group hat and I'm going to mount it on my mantelpiece. And that is going to be, yeah, it's going to be a skull on my wall. Like, I'm so excited.
And this is a potential break here. Are you willing to what unit did you say, was it 5th?
I'm first.
5th group. You're first. Okay,
I'm one of those first weirdos.
Okay, very good. I just wanted to know because I keep like I'm running into a disproportional amount of like SF guys now.
We're out
and
there.
I'm like, oh, it's probably because I just met a new one and I keep forgetting which group you're in. So because I know a lot. I worked and know still quite a large, well, maybe not current, but former 5th group guys. My buddy Matt Nardo was the big 5th group contact that I had.
Okay.
And he like once I got out, he was kind of the big guy that helped keep my training up to date. We would run. We both worked at a gun range.
Oh,
and
perfect.
there were nights. Yeah, there were nights where we had the range to ourselves essentially, so we could go like downrange, and do like threshold work or stuff like that. Like actually, like
oh man, those skills are so perishable.
I know, dude. I was literally it's upstairs. I don't have it all set up, but I had my Mantis out. I don't know if you guys know what that is.
I
but
do.
It's,
I'm trying to get one for the house.
I have a Mantis Blackbeard. It's a magazine and it's a training system for AR-15s that allows you to electronically reset your trigger, so you don't have to rack the charging handle every time. And so I'm out there and I was just like attempting to do a button hook, and if anyone's ever tried to do a button hook on like any kind of room, it's not like as a fundamental skill, it's probably one of the harder fundamental footwork skills to learn. Would you say, Chris, or is that something that you're just like a slayer at? I feel like a lot of people struggle with button hooks.
My footwork is something that I got like when I first ever went into the house. It's like your footwork is awful, and I had to go out with one of my team sergeants and just like and like just practice it, just dry run.
You look like you're kind of like dancing all over the place, and then the door.
You go to try to implement something like that when you have actual dudes in the room with you, and realize you just flagged the shit out of everybody, and you're like, oh, I forgot what I was doing with the gun because I was focusing on my feet, stuff like that.
So I was out there with my Mantis, just doing my normal run down here, because the best thing about the Mantis Blackbeard is like when you're bored, you can just run shooting drills. It's so much fun. So you're never bored. But I do a button hook in. I was like, wow, what the fuck did I just do? Because I was doing the little dance to try to like line it up, and I was like, how's my like, because you don't want to be muzzle, you don't want to be telegraphing, you don't want to be sticking your muzzle through the door or anything like that. And so I'm like looking at myself, like my muzzle's through the door, I'm stumbling over my feet. I haven't done this, I keep realizing like I've been out of the game for a long fucking time now. I gotta keep these skills up. So I don't know why I was talking about this, but I love the Mantis. That's apparently a pub piece for Mantis now.
Hell yeah, man. Well, thank you again for coming on with us. No, I was just going to say, I mean, we've probably be a good time to wrap up, but I appreciate you coming on and talking with us, and I hope we see more of each other on Rumble, especially.
Oh, I'm so excited,
and
dude.
Doing this together. You got a lot of people. I hope they follow you on over there, and they should, because if they want to see you for who you are, that's the place to go, man. And,
I'm very proud of the support, by the way, to the community, the small but very supportive community over on Rumble. We are getting a lot of views, actually, like maybe not a lot, but like hundreds more views than I was expecting to get.
That's awesome.
It's still not a sustainable ecosystem for us at the time, or at the time of this recording. It's still not a sustainable ecosystem for us, but it was more than what I expected, and I think that I owe that direct to the community over there. I think that the Rumble community of viewers is very hungry to have their platform of choice be seen as a legitimate choice, not just like the ha ha ha. Hey, they're gonna, they're flash in the pan. They're gonna fade out eventually. YouTube conquers all. I feel like the Rumble community has that backing, the viewerships. We're not talking the executives, the people running here, but I feel like the fans of the Rumble community have that want and desire too, and I feel like they have the loyalty that we were talking about to push more and more of their community their community of viewers over too. So well done, guys.
We're excited. We're excited to
nicely.
spearhead this with you, man, and I'm looking forward to working with you for a long time to come.
If you can't tell, I've got a lot of energy. It is now almost midnight, and that means I'm freaking excited, boys.
I love it, dude.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Hey, Rumble, call me.
Oh, we're gonna make sure it happens, bro, for sure. But no, thank you guys.
Well, thank
you for so much for coming on with us again. And obviously, this won't be the last time. If you guys didn't hear the last episode we did, just head on back and find it and give it a listen. But and head over and obviously, we're talking about new areas and places you want to be. But where can people find you for now?
For now, they can find me, and actually, I will say this: they can find me permanently on YouTube. I will not be giving up the fight just because we're looking for opportunity elsewhere. I still believe that I still need a YouTube presence to continue fights. Just like if every gun owner moved out of California, there'd be nobody left to fight for the rights of Californians to have firearms. So I will still stay on YouTube, but I will be driving as much of my audience, I think, over to Rumble in a very conceited effort. Regardless of what happens, I need a new place to exist. And they can find me over on YouTube, Tundra Tactical over there, Tundra Tactical MN on Instagram. And then the big shout out to the Twitch community, Tundra Gaming Live, 7 p.m. Central to midnight, usually 7 days a week.
Oh, yeah,
responds to all your comments over there on Twitch, guys.
That I do.
He's just as handsome over there as he is here on this episode.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Hell yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Have a good night.
All right, cheers.